Part 12. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 111. The second Chunin exam is over. Some are happy and some are sad. After Yagami Ryusuke returned home, he told his mother Mizuki Yagami the good news that he had advanced to the third exam, and then told his mother the news that Hinata and the others would come to the house for dinner in the evening. Hearing that his son's little girlfriends were coming for dinner, Yagami Mitsuki quickly started getting ready. After all, this is Hinata and Ino's first time at home for dinner. As her future mother-in-law, she had to be well prepared no matter what happened. Ryusuke Yagami originally wanted to help. But after he almost knocked over the bowl for the third time, his mother kicked him out of the kitchen and strictly prohibited him from entering the kitchen again. Ryusuke Yagami stood outside the kitchen and smiled bitterly. God knows if his talent is wrong. Why does he seem to be unable to do anything related to cooking? It feels like a curse. Very difficult to understand. There was no way, since he was kicked out of the kitchen by his mother, Yagami Ryusuke could only do what he wanted. Things went down. It's around 3 p.m. It was still daylight, so Ino arrived at Yagami Ryusuke's house first. Yagami Ryusuke went to open the door for Ino and invited her in. Hello aunt, I am Ino Yamanaka, we have met before. When Ino saw Ryusuke Yagami's mother, she sweetly called her aunt. Hey, you too. Yakamamiya looked at the future daughter-in-law in front of her with a smile on her face. Her eyes glanced at her son standing aside, and she felt very happy. Her son was promising, so she brought two directly to 880. How can she be unhappy with such a beautiful daughter-in-law? Auntie, are you cooking? Let me help you. As soon as Ino saw a lot of ingredients in the kitchen, she immediately volunteered to help. Yagami Mitsuki saw how she could let her future daughter-in-law cook, so she quickly asked Yagami Ryusuke to take the food. Ino went to the living room to sit. But Ino insisted and wanted to help. And Ryusuke Yagami also said that Ino's cooking skills were very good. Mitsuki Yagami couldn't resist these two little guys, so she could only agree to let Ino help in the kitchen. And looking at Ino's skillful cutting and garnishing of vegetables, Yagami Mitsuki also believed what her son just said. Ino's cooking skills are very good. Unexpectedly, the eldest lady of the Yamanaka clan was willing to do it for his son. Washed his hands and made soup. This surprised Yagami Mitsuki. After a while, Hinata and Yoi Kurane also arrived. Yoi Kurane saw Ino helping to cook in the kitchen, so she also proposed to help. Yagami Mitsuki looked at Yoi Kurane in front of her, and looked at her son who was accompanying Hinata over there, as if asking, is this my daughter-in-law? Ryusuke Yagami didn't expect that his mother was so powerful. He could see it at a glance, so he secretly nodded towards his mother. After getting a positive reply from her son, Yagami Mitsuki also smiled and pulled Yoi Kurane hand, while looking at her. Yes, although she is a little older, she is beautiful and worthy of her son. Kurane Yoi is looked at a bit strangely by Yagami Mitsuki. I always feel that the sister looks at her. His eyes seem to be looking at his daughter-in-law. Am I overthinking it? Zihihong thought. Come on, cheers. Let us congratulate Hinata and Ryusuke for successfully advancing to the third exam. On the dining table, 5 people were sitting together, and the table was full of sumptuous dishes. Son, if your father was still alive, he would be proud of you. After taking a sip of wine, her mother Yagami Mitsuki couldn't help but her eyes were a little red. She thought of the hard work she had to do to bring up her son. Now that his son has grown up and is capable, this also made her feel that she has grown up in the past few years. It's all worth it. What a pity. The child's father is no longer here. Otherwise, you would be very happy to see your son grow up and be better than his master, right? Mom, thank you for all your hard work these years. Yakami Ryuzyuk held a glass of juice in his hand and toasted his mother. "Auntie, let me toast you too." When Ino saw it, he also smiled, picked up the glass of juice in front of him, and said with a smile, "Auntie, I respect you too. Sister Miu, come, let me and I have a drink too." Mizuki Yagami looked at the three daughters-in-law in front of her with a smile on her face, and happily drank several glasses of wine. At first, Ryusuke Yagami was worried about his mother's drinking capacity. But after drinking for a while, he found that even Yui was a little red. She looked slightly drunk, but her mother seemed to be fine. This amount of alcohol. You won't get drunk even if you drink 1,000 cups. It was also the first time that Ryusuke Yagami knew that his mother had such a good drinking capacity. This meal didn't end until about 9 o'clock in the evening. Ryusuke Yagami first sent Hinata and Ino home. Then when I got home, I found that my mother was still drinking with Yui Hong. But Yui Kurane was obviously drunk. But my mother, Yagami Mitsuki, only had a slightly red cheek, and she was completely awake. "Mom, your ability to drink is too good." Ryusuke Yagami shook an empty wine bottle next to him. He and Hinata didn't drink any wine at all when they were eating. After all, they were still young. Therefore, all these empty wine bottles were Mizuki Yagami's. I drank it with Kurane Yui, and most of it was actually drank by her mother Yagami Mizuki, and Kurane Yui only drank a small part. Even so, Kurane Yui was already a little dazed after drinking it. "When your mother and I were young, we were nicknamed the Wine Princess." Mizuki Yagami looked at her son with a smile and said, "Ninth princess? Oh no, it should be the Liquor Princess." Ryusuke Yagami looked at his mother dumbfounded. "Your sister Hong is drunk, so don't leave tonight. I'll clean up the guest room later, and let her sleep in our house tonight." The mother said, and also got up and went to clean the guest room. But Yui Hong was still sitting there shaking, with the empty wine glass in her hand, muttering drunken words about having another drink. Late at night, after cleaning up the guest room, her mother asked Ryusuke Yagami carried Yui Kurane into the room to rest. Ryusuke Yagami was an obedient child. So he picked up Kurane Yui who was already drunk and went directly to the guest room. "Sister Hong, have a good rest." Ryusuke Yagami put Yui Hong down and covered her with a quilt. "I can still drink it? Come again." Yui Hong was still mumbling. Seeing her like this, Yagami Ryusuke also smiled and kissed her on the forehead, then turned and left the room. Outside the door, his mother looked at him with a smile. "Mom, why don't you go and rest?" Ryusuke Yagami is a little embarrassed. Come, and have a chat with Mom." Ryusuke Yagami. In the living room. Ryusuke Yagami was led by his mother to sit down like a child who had done something wrong. "Tell me, you are quite capable of provoking and killing a girl all at once." Yakama Mio looked at her son in front of her with a smile in her eyes. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. "Mom, don't I want to give them a home?" Ryusuke Yagami said. "You will find this kind of fallacy." Yagami. Mio rolled her eyes at her son angrily, and then said, "Son, Mom doesn't object to you finding more wives, but you have to understand that having too many women is a troublesome thing, especially you. Those two little girlfriends come from big families. Have you ever thought about how to get their parents to agree to be together?" "Mom, don't worry about this, I've already thought about it." Ryusuke. Yagami nodded and said. "So tell me what you think." Mizuki Yagami obviously intends to ask clearly, so that her son will not have trouble dealing with these girlfriend problems in the future. Kurane Yui is actually okay. Mizuki Yagami also knows that this Yui Jounin used to be in Konoha Hospital. They met several times when they were together. So Yagami Mitsuki knew that there was no one else in Yui Kurane's family. So as long as Yui Kurane was willing, no one could object. But the situation of Ino and Hinata was different. One of them is the eldest lady of the Yamanaka clan, and the other is the eldest lady of the Hyuga clan. Each has a deeper background than the other. Yagami Mitsuki is also worried that her son will not be able to handle the problems of the family behind them. Mom, there is actually something I have wanted to tell you for a long time, but I have never found the right opportunity. Ryosuke Yagami said suddenly. Hearing this, Mizuki Yagami also looked at his son curiously. Is there something important? She asked. Well, it's relatively important. Ryosuke. Yagami nodded, then took his mother's hand and said, It's not very convenient here. I'll take you to another place. Before Yagami Mitsuki could understand it, she noticed that the surrounding scenery suddenly changed. Then she and her son appeared in a strange environment. Ryosuke, where is this? Yakamamiya looked around in surprise. In the distance was the sea, and behind her was the dense forest. There were few people around. There was a primitive atmosphere. This is the southernmost point of the fire country. Yagami. Ryosuke said, Mom, don't you want to know how your son can convince Hinata and the ninja clan behind them? What would you think if I told you that your son and I are now invincible in the ninja world? Invincible in the ninja world? Does Yagami Mitsuki think her son is talking nonsense? Could it be that he drank too much and had hallucinations? But, where is this? When she was young, she could drink 5 or 6 times this amount without getting drunk. Are you really old? Yagami Mitsuki blinked and looked at her son in front of her with a suspicious expression on her face. Yagami Ryosuke also knew that it would be difficult to convince his mother just by talking. That's why he brought his mother here. I just want my mother to see her son's true strength. It would also reassure her. Mom, stay here, don't get too close. Ryosuke Yagami warned. The mother nodded subconsciously. Then she saw her son jump up, and an extremely large amount of chakra in his hand instantly gathered into a ball shining with blue light. In the hand of wind release. Uzumaki sword. Yagami Ryosuke condensed a Uzumaki shuriken in his hand, and then threw it fiercely towards the sea in front of him. The Uzumaki shuriken flew thousands of meters away before hitting the sea surface hard. In an instant, a dazzling white light flashed, followed by an earth-shaking roar. Even though Yagami Mitsuki was thousands of meters away, she still felt a strong wind blowing towards her face. Brush. Yagami Ryosuke was protecting her mother. In front of her, he blocked the shockwave for her. Equipped with Orochimaru's entry, the power of ninjutsu has increased a lot. Ryosuke Yagami thought to himself. Originally, when the Uzumaki shuriken exploded in the sea, the damage caused would be much smaller than on land. But because its power has increased, it still caused a huge explosion even though it was thousands of meters away. The violent wind. Even the surrounding trees were blown down 3.8. When everything calmed down, Yagami Mitsuki looked at the sea in the distance with a shocked face that had not been completely filled. From here, you can still see a huge whirlpool is spinning over there, with great momentum. Ryosuke, was that just now? She raised her head and looked at her son. Mom, that's the ninjutsu I developed myself, the wind release Uzumaki shuriken. Isn't it powerful? Ryosuke Yagami said with a smile. Not bad. Is this good? This is a breakthrough. As a medical Chuunin, Mitsuki Yagami has never seen such a powerful ninjutsu in her life. Even if it's the tailed beast Jade of Kyuubi back then. I'm afraid that's the extent of it, right? My son Kyuubi. Yagami Mitsuki couldn't help but have this thought in her mind. Ryosuke, is this the invincible strength of the ninja world you said? Mizuki Yagami looked at her son in surprise and asked. Mom, where are you? It's up to you. Ryosuke Yagami planned to tell his mother everything tonight. Apart from the existence of the system, there is nothing he can't say about his other abilities. After hearing his son's words, Yagami Mitsuki looked even more shocked. Him. Isn't this enough? No, is the water in the ninja world so deep? Ninjutsu of that scale just now is still invincible in the ninja world. Yagami Mizuki feels that her worldview has been impacted. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 112. Next. Ryosuke Yagami showed his mother the various ball ninjutsu he had created. Starting from the most basic wind release spiral shuriken. Later, the explosion Raise-non and ice release Raise-non were created almost at the same time. Then there is the earth escape developed later. The spiral heavy pill. This is a Raise-non that has been refined with earth attributes. It mainly focuses on a heavy character. The small spiral weight pill with a diameter of half a meter is as heavy as a mountain. If it hits you all at once, what can stop it? There is also thunder release. Spiral Thunder God's Spear. Add a change in the nature of the thunder attribute to the Raise-non, and use the shape change to transform it into the form of a spear and throw it. The throwing distance of the Spiral Thunder God's Spear is also the furthest among the Raise-nons. It can be thrown tens of thousands of meters away. When the attack hits the target, it will cause horrific puncture damage and secondary thunderstorm damage. The resulting thunderstorm can cover a thunderstorm cloud several kilometers in diameter. Destroying an entire village with one move is no problem at all. And it was to destroy villages from a very long distance. It's just a little difficult to aim, and you need to cooperate with Sharingan and Byakugan. Therefore, even if others learn this move, they will not be able to use the effect that Yagami Ryosuke has. One is power. Without the power bonus of the talent entry, there is no way to explode such amazing lethality. Another is accuracy. Sharingan and Byakugan, one cannot be missing. It would be almost meaningless without any one of them. With an attack distance of tens of thousands of meters, even if it's just a little bit off, when it reaches the target position, the deviation will be huge. And in the entire ninja world, there are only those who can possess both Byakugan and Sharingan. Only Ryosuke Yagami. This is the only one, no other semicolon. After showing off these meatball ninja skills, Yagami Mitsuki's worldview has completely collapsed. All kinds of ninjutsu that destroy the world. It directly refreshed her knowledge of ninjutsu. It turns out that ninjutsu also has such terrifying destructive power. A ninjutsu destroyed a ninja village from the 5 major countries. This actually happened. She always thought that it was something bragging among children. Unexpectedly, one day, in the hands of her son, it actually became the first one. This kind of shock and pride made Yagami Mio think several times that she was dreaming. "Mom, I have never mentioned this last thing to anyone, so you have to keep it a secret for me," Ryosuke Yagami suddenly said solemnly. "Ah." Oh, Yagami Mitsuki was stunned for a moment, and then nodded. "Son, is there any more terrifying ninjutsu? Mom already believes that you are invincible in the ninja world. It's just that my little heart like mom can't bear it, otherwise I'd better forget it." Yagami Mio touched her heart, feeling that if she continues to be stimulated like this, she will most likely have insomnia tonight. No. Even if it ends here, she will probably not be able to sleep tonight either. "Mom, this is the last one. I'll leave it for now after reading it." "Yagami," Ryosuke said. "The important point is, it's gone for the time being." However, Yagami Mitsuki was still immersed in various shocks at the moment, and she did not appreciate Yagami Ryosuke's words for a while. "Well, here you go." Yagami Mitsuki nodded. Everything has a beginning and an end. Moreover, she felt that she had seen so many scary ninjutsu, and she should be able to withstand another more scary one. In the distance, her mother signaled Yagami Ryosuke also instantly switched to the state of the Manjikyo Sharingan. Because of the distance, Yagami Mitsuki did not notice the change in her son's eyes. But the next second, Susanoo, a behemoth more than 500 meters tall, rose from the ground. The towering giant like a mountain was reflected in Yagami Mitsuki's eyes. In an instant, Yagami Mitsuki almost lost her legs and sat on the ground. Is this the last resort? No. Son, you don't even drive a Gundam. Boom. The huge Susan took a step forward, and a huge footprint fell on the ground in an instant. Then, the black flames on Susanoo's hands burned blazingly, turning into two huge swords. Susanoo slashes. Boom. The black sword energy split open instantly, revealing the seabed at the bottom. The sword energy shot out and spread straight. It was unknown how far it spread, and some small islands along the way collapsed. He was struck by mold and was instantly cut in half by the black sword energy. The island collapsed and rocks sank into the sea. Yagami Mitsuki stared blankly at this scene. Until Yagami Ryusuke put away the Gundam. "Ah no, it's Susan, come back to her." She finally came to her senses. That was just now, ninjutsu. Yagami Mitsuki felt that she still underestimated her son. She thought that she was mentally prepared after experiencing a shock. But what happened to that mountain-like giant just now? Is that really a ninjutsu? Kuwabai isn't even that big. It can't be counted as a ninjutsu. It's the advanced form of the Sharingan, the ultimate eye technique of the Mangekyo Sharingan, Susanoo. Ryusuke Yagami explained to his mother. Sharingan? Etc. Ryusuke, what's wrong with your eyes? Yagami Mitsuki didn't realize until this moment that although her son's eyes were still red, they were obviously much redder than usual, and there was a sickle-like pattern in the center of the pupils. This is the advanced form of the Sharingan, the Mangekyo Sharingan. Ryusuke Yagami explained. But, Ryusuke, how come you have the eyes of the Uchiha clan? Yagami. Miyu asked in confusion. I'm actually not sure about this. Maybe our ancestors of the Yagami family have some relationship with the Uchiha clan, such as my grandfather's generation, or my grandfather's father's generation, etc. In fact, in addition to Sharingan, I can also use wood release. Ryusuke Yagami said, and personally performed a unique trick of making a small sapling grow into a towering tree dozens of meters high in a few seconds. Mitsuki Yagami. Do the ancestors of the Yagami family still have such a background? Uchiha and holding hands? No. Don't they have a feud? How could there be intermarriage? Could it be, your father's ancestor was once married to an Uchiha, and my ancestor was married to the Senju clan? Yagami Mitsuki suddenly had some ideas. Mom, I remember you didn't have a last name before you married your father, right? Ryusuke Yagami suddenly said. His mother nodded. In fact, this is very common in the ninja world. Many civilians only have first names but no surnames. Some will add a surname to themselves. But it does not have official significance, because no matter it is neither the country nor the locality will recognize the surname you add casually. So even if the Yagami family is now common people in Konoha, if it goes up, they may have been nobles in the past. Read Bao's Huang novels, just go to Fila Novel Network. I heard that most members of the Senju clan were integrated into the village under the instruction of the Shodaime Hokage, and they were all deprived of their original Senju surname. Maybe Mom, you have the blood of Senju, and maybe my grandmother is the original one. Born into the Senju clan. Ryusuke Yagami said. Although he was just making this up, it is indeed a fact that most of the Senju clan integrated into Konoha. It was indeed ordered by Senju Hashirama, the clan leader at the time. The reason was to start. He serves as a role model and takes the lead to deepen the sense of belonging of each ninja clan to the village. However, Senju Hashirama probably did not expect that just because of his behavior, the power of the Senju clan was greatly damaged, so that the Senju clan later became after accidentally dying in battle. Sarutobi Hiruzen became the third generation Hokage, and he directly attacked the remaining Senju tribe. It completely made the Senju a thing of the past. Even in the textbooks, there is no mention of the Senju now. The records of the clan. When the children of Konoha mentioned the first Hokage, they would not think of the name Senju Hashirama at all. Even if someone mentioned it, the most they would call him is Hashirama-sama. As for the surname of Hashirama-sama in their mouths, many young ninjas have long been unable to tell. You know, it is only 60 years old in Konoha. The village was only established 60 years ago, and the younger generation does not even know the surname of the first Hokage. This shows that Sarutobi how thoroughly Hiruzen did to remove the Senju transformation of Konoha. If the Senju Hashirama brothers are resurrected and come back, I'm afraid they have to thank Hiruzen Ichiban Sarutobi. Yagami Ryusuke's explanation, although it's nonsense, Yagami Mitsuki felt that this should be the truth. Otherwise, how can we explain the Sharingan and wooden release on his son? Since there is no other reason to explain, then the truth is this. Then, Yagami Ryusuke returned home with his mother. Yagami Mitsuki, who had been severely reshaped her worldview tonight, also expressed that she was tired. Take a good rest. However, when she returned to the room and lay down on the bed, as soon as she closed her eyes, what came to her mind were the ninjutsu her son had shown before, and the mountain-like Susanoo at the end. The child's father, what kind of child did we have? I originally just wanted Ryusuke to grow up happily, and I didn't even have much hope that he could become a ninja. But now, our sons are already invincible in the ninja world. I feel like I'm in a dream. Yakama Mitsuki tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. She always felt that all this was too unreal. It was like a wage earner who was suddenly told one day that he had a billionaire relative, and then this relative gave him all his billions in wealth. It was all given to him. That dreamlike feeling. Very few people can adapt to it quickly. The next day, Yoi Kurane woke up and found that she was sleeping in Yagami Ryusuke's house. She quickly opened the quilt. He glanced at it, then heaved a sigh of relief, then blushed again, cursing himself for not trusting Ryusuke so much. Moreover, no matter how bold Ryusuke is, he can't hide the fact that he is still a 12-year-old child. I am actually worried that a 12-year-old child will treat me. This is 353 inappropriate. Yoi Hong reflected on herself before getting up and going to the bathroom to wash up. When she went downstairs, she found that Yagami Mitsuki had huge dark circles under her eyes and looked like she hadn't slept well. Sister Mio, what's wrong with you? Zihihong couldn't help but ask. It's nothing, I just didn't sleep well last night. Yakama Mitsuki didn't sleep well. She clearly didn't fall asleep all night. She couldn't close her eyes until dawn. Fortunately, she had a rest today. Otherwise, she would have made mistakes at work. Where is Ryusuke? Zihihong looked around and asked. He went out after breakfast, probably to practice. Yakama Mio said. It's so late now. Zihihong then realized that it was almost noon now. It turns out that she got up so late. I'm preparing lunch. Ryusuke usually doesn't come back for lunch, so why don't you stay and have some together? Would it be too intrusive? It's okay, Hong, just treat this place as your own home. I'm going to make a bowl of soup. We can eat right away. Let me help. Just when Yagami Mitsuki and Yoi Kurane were getting along very harmoniously. On the other side, Yagami Ryusuke also found the target person he had been looking for a long time outside the backyard wall of a hot spring hotel. He had long white hair, the orange coat and that extremely obscene laugh. It's unmistakable. This person is the crazy ghost Jiraiya. Finally found you. Ryusuke Yagami smiled secretly, and then walked over quietly. At this time, Jiraiya was squatting in the corner, watching seriously, and making obscene laughter from time to time. Even Ryusuke Yagami walked behind him, but he didn't not even aware of it. The smile is really obscene. Ryusuke Yagami glanced at Jiraiya with contempt. Peeping into the bathroom is the lowest level. If you want to see it that way, I'll send you in. Ryusuke Yagami chuckled to himself, then aimed at Jiraiya's butt and kicked it. Bang! A hole was opened in the wooden wall in an instant. Jiraiya, who was caught off guard, ran straight into it. In the bathtub. Then there was a burst of chicken and egg beating. Yagami Ryusuke turned around and left with a smile, listening to Jiraiya's screams from behind. He smiled happily. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 113. In the bath. A group of old ladies in their 50s and 60s took ladles and wash basins and beat up Jiraiya, who fell in. And Jiraiya, who was beaten, also felt miserable in his heart. Bastard! Which bastard attacked me from behind? Jiraiya cursed in his heart, and he found an opportunity and ran away. On the other side, in the corner of the bath, a pair of strange eyes were staring at Jiraiya's running back. Didn't you expect that Jiraiya has returned to the village? Danzo thought quietly in his heart. That's right. Danzo is also taking a bath here today. And because she is now a girl, she cannot enter the men's bath. The entrances to Konoha's men's baths all have transformation techniques detected. This device is also a precautionary measure to prevent some ninjas who have the habit of changing titanium from using the transformation technique to come and cause trouble in the bath. Therefore, Danzo had no choice but to find the store with mixed bathing. As a result, unexpectedly, as soon as he came in, he found a group of old ladies in their 50s and 60s. Although these old ladies were actually older than him, Danzo felt visceral when he saw it. She was just about to leave. Then she encountered this scene. When Jiraiya returns to the village, he wonders if Orochimaru's plan can still proceed smoothly. Danzo was a little worried. After all, it was about whether he could take the position of Hokage. He couldn't help but care more. But Jiraiya is really becoming more and more energetic as he gets older. He actually spied on a group of old women. It's really disgusting. Danzo despised Jiraiya in his heart, and then secretly left the bath while no one noticed him. The kid in front of you, stop. Jiraiya chased after him aggressively and stopped Ryusuke Yagami, who was walking slowly. Old man, what's the matter with you? Ryusuke Yagami looked at Jiraiya in front of him and asked calmly. Old man? Jiraiya suddenly became even more angry. See clearly. He pointed to his hair and said, I'm not that old. My hair has been this color since I was a child. Oh. So, old man, are you okay? Ryusuke Yagami nodded, but still called the old man. Jiraiya's eyes were about to burst into flames. The kid in front of him was pretty good looking. Why did he talk so irritatingly? He was even more angry than Orochimaru when he was a child. People. Hello. Brat, let me ask you, why did you attack me from behind just now? Jiraiya asked angrily. In the end, what he got in exchange was Yagami Ryusuke's eyes full of contempt. You, a voyeur, have the nerve to come and ask me such a question. I said, old man, do you have any shame? If it weren't for your special hobby, I would have arrested you and sent you to Konoha prison. Hearing this, Jiraiya, who looked furious just now, couldn't help but be speechless. Ryusuke Yagami was right. He is a peeping man, and he really has no way to deal with it. He deserves to be attacked. But since I couldn't be more angry. Also, Ryusuke Yagami said that he has a special hobby. The conscience of heaven and earth. That was because the water vapor was too strong just now, and he didn't see clearly. He didn't know that there were a group of old ladies in their 50s and 60s. Otherwise, even if I beat him to death, I wouldn't even look at him twice. Old man, if you have nothing to do, please let me go. I still have something to do. Ryosuke Yagamai said. Speaking of which, he seemed to have sensed a familiar chakra fluctuation in the bath just now, which seemed to belong to Danzo. I didn't expect that Danzo would have such a hobby. Seeing it is better than hearing it 100 times. Could it be that after becoming a woman, her personality gradually changed? What a sin! Turning around Jiraiya in front of him, Yagamai Ryosuke looked like he was ready to leave. Kid! Stop right here! Jiraiya quickly stopped him again. He looked at Yagamai Ryosuke up and down, and made a tut-tisk sound in his mouth. Old man, what do you want to do when you come here? Ryosuke Yagamai asked. You are such a sharp-tongued kid, I was almost bypassed by you just now. Jiraiya said. Old man, are you being a bit messy? Do you think I'm easy to bully because of my young age? Ryosuke Yagamai rolled up his sleeves and said, in this case, there is nothing we can do. It seems that I can only take you to Konoha prison and lock you up for a few days, so that you can calm down and think about your problems. It's serious. Jiraiya was immediately happy when he heard that this brat actually wanted to take him to Konoha prison for a few days. Haha. Do you know who I am, little brat? Jiraiya said with a smile. I don't care who you are. Look at the fight. Ryosuke Yagamai saw that it was almost done, so he punched him directly. Bang! Jiraiya raised his hand and grabbed Ryosuke Yagamai's fist. While he was surprised by the power of Ryosuke Yagamai's fist, he was also angry at the same time. Said no, you little brat, why don't you listen to what others have to say? I haven't told you who I am yet. I don't need to know. Ryosuke Yagamai instantly kicked Jiraiya to the side. Jiraiya also pulled away to avoid it, but Ryosuke Yagamai was faster. As soon as he dodged, Ryosuke Yagamai's next move, the move came again. The two of them fought back and forth dozens of times, and Jiraiya discovered that this brat's physical skills were even better than his own. He couldn't help but be shocked. When did Konoha's brat become so powerful? Meeting a random person, his physical skills are stronger than Jiraiya's. Is there any justice in this? It turns out you are still a ninja. Are you a spy from another village? If that's the case, then I won't be polite. As he said that, Yagamai Ryosuke directly pulled out the ninja sword from his waist and struck it with one blow in an instant. Hey hey hey! Why did you go under the knife? As soon as he saw Yagamai Ryosuke drawing his sword, Jiraiya suddenly became anxious. This was in a village, and he couldn't use powerful ninjutsu on the ninjas in his own village. The fight actually made Jiraiya admire this young man. With such talent at a young age, he will definitely be the mainstay of the village in the future. Therefore, Jiraiya did not want to hurt the opponent, but Yagamai Ryo, it seemed that Jiraiya was not going to give him a chance to explain the misunderstanding. In an instant, Yagamai Ryosuke's figure disappeared directly from the place. This speed was so fast that even Jiraiya had no time to react, and the back of his neck was scratched by a sharp blade. There was a hole. At this point, he relied on his intuition to avoid it. Otherwise, it would be possible for him to be attacked by a sword owl. Of course, this was why Jiraiya didn't expect Yagamai Ryosuke's sudden speed at the beginning. To this extent, etc. Are you using the Flying Thunder God technique? Jiraiya suddenly realized something. He turned around and pulled up his pants. Sure enough, he saw a crescent moon mark on his pants. Although this was not the Flying Thunder God mark of Namikaze Minato back then, Jiraiya he was so familiar with the art of Flying Thunder God, so he could tell at a glance that the crescent moon pattern was the mark of Flying Thunder God. You responded quickly, but what about next time? To read exciting novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Ryosuke Yagami did not strike again immediately. In fact, if Jiraiya had not reacted to the knife just now, he would have deliberately stopped midway, and it would only have hurt him. If you go to Jiraiya, you won't really kill him. After all, he has no grudge against Jiraiya. He just wants to get a share of his biological pheromones. There is no need to kill the other person. Wait a moment. I am Jiraiya, one of the Sunin. Have you heard of Jiraiya? Have you ever heard of Sunin? Jiraiya is really anxious this time. This is the Flying Thunder God's technique. Even if he has torn off the mark on his pants now, there is no guarantee that the other party will leave such a mark directly on him next time. If he really wanted to do that, he couldn't cut off his own skin and flesh, right? Therefore, Jiraiya quickly shouted out his identity before the other party took action immediately. Jiraiya? Crazy Ghost Jiraiya? Ryosuke Yagami looked doubtful. Yes, that's me. Jiraiya pointed to the word oil on his head and said, look at my sign, haven't you heard of it? It's me. Toad Sage Jiraiya. Yagami. Ryosuke shook his head and said, sorry, I have only heard of Jiraiya's name, but I don't know him, so I can't confirm whether you are Jiraiya or not. Of course I am. Jiraiya is almost dying of anxiety. What on earth is he going to do to prove that he is who he is? Is it possible that he has to call his deceased parents and ask them to issue a certificate for him? Jiraiya is so anxious here. While scratching his head, Kakashi, who was followed by Naruto and Sasuke, also passed by nearby. Hey! Isn't that Ryosuke? He seemed to be fighting with someone. Naruto's sharp eyes were the first to spot Ryosuke Yagami and Jiraiya over there. After hearing this, Kakashi also raised his head and looked away from the little yellow book in his hand. His originally lazy eyes were when I saw Jiraiya, I suddenly changed. Lord Jiraiya? Kakashi said in surprise. Eh? Kakashi. It's Kakashi. Ha ha ha, as soon as Jiraiya saw Kakashi, he immediately smiled. He pointed at Kakashi and said, kid, you should know this. Hey, take Kakashi, right? He can prove my identity as Toad Sage Jiraiya. Ryosuke Yagami looked at Kakashi. The latter nodded. Although he didn't know what was going on at the moment, he still proved his identity for Jiraiya. Ryosuke, this is Lord Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas. Why are you fighting? Kakashi asked by the way. Are you really Jiraiya? Ryosuke Yagami said, put away the knife, and then said to Kakashi, I just saw Jiraiya. Don't say it. Jiraiya instantly ran over and wanted to cover Yagami Ryosuke's mouth. But Yagami Ryosuke dodged it. Please, I'll treat you to dinner next time. Jiraiya turned his back to Kakashi and the others, looking at Yagami Ryosuke with pleading eyes, hoping that he could keep the secret for him. Otherwise, he, an old man who had left the village for more than 10 years, would be found out that he had just returned. How embarrassing it would be to peep into the women's bathhouse when you arrive in the village. It would be fine if only Kakashi was there, but there were two brats who must be genin accompanying him. The brats don't know what to say. Don't come. By then, the whole village knew about it, so did he still need the face of Toad Sage Jiraiya? 10 meals. Ryosuke Yagami gestured with his fingers. Jiraiya glared fiercely at the kid who took advantage of the situation. But Ryosuke Yagami looked at him without giving in. After a while, Jiraiya gave up. He could only nod and agreed to this humiliation. Conditions of. Ryosuke, what did you just say? Naruto asked curiously. I just said, the money is good, that I saw Jiraiya-sama wandering around the village alone. I thought he was suspicious and thought he was some kind of spy sent from another village. Ryosuke Yagami turned his head and said to Naruto and the three of them. Oh. So this is Naruto, who was a bit silly, believed Yagami Ryosuke's words without hesitation. But Kakashi and Sasuke were not that easy to deceive. Both of them looked at him with suspicious expressions. Obviously they did not believe Yagami. Ryosuke said. "Where are you going?" Ryosuke Yagami asked, changing the subject. "We are going to practice." Naruto laughed and said, "Ryosuke, let me tell you, Kakashi-sensei said that he found a very powerful teacher for me to teach me." "A particularly powerful teacher? It can't be that Ebisu, right?" Ryosuke Yagami looked at Kakashi with a suspicious look on his face. Kakashi turned his head away in embarrassment. "It looks like he is really Ebisu." Yagami, when Ryosuke saw Kakashi like this, he knew that he had guessed it right. To be honest, Yagami Ryosuke couldn't understand why Kakashi asked Ebisu to teach Naruto. If it was the previous Naruto, the basics, if it's too bad, then let Ebisu teach him. But now Naruto's foundation is not that bad. He has learned how to climb trees and tread water. His chakra control ability is not weak anymore. Let Ebisu teach him. Shall to teach Naruto? What can Ebisu teach Naruto? How to pretend that he is a gentleman. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 114. Regarding Kakashi's arrangement for Naruto, Ryosuke Yagami didn't say much. No, Jiraiya has already arrived in Konoha. And now he is meeting with Naruto. Based on the fate between the two. As long as we meet, there will definitely be some sparks. Okay, then you go practice, I have to leave first. Ryosuke Yagami nodded to a few people, then turned around and left. Hello. Kid, what's your name? Ryosuke Yagami. Ryosuke Yagami waved his hand without looking back. Then his figure gradually disappeared from the sight of several people. Cut. What a brat. Jiraiya curled his lips, thinking that this guy was just trying to be cool. The kid now is really not cute at all. Kid, what's your name again? Jiraiya suddenly looked at Naruto next to him. This guy reminded him of his disciple Namikaze Minato. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, uncle, are you the Sunin that Kakashi-sensei talks about? What is a Sunin? Is it very powerful? Naruto asked Jiraiya like a curious baby. After hearing Naruto's name, Jiraiya was stunned for a moment, and then looked at Kakashi next to him. The latter nodded slightly. The son of Minato and Kushina. Jiraiya looked at Naruto, who was whirring in front of him. If you look at it this way, his personality is indeed very similar to Kushina. They both have a quick temper. But their hair is like Minato. They are all blonde. Ryosuke Yagami, he didn't pay attention to whether Naruto would follow Jiraiya to practice in the future. In the past, Jiraiya didn't know how miserable Naruto was in Konoha. Now that he is back, he will definitely know all this through various channels. Whether it's out of guilt or some other psychology. Even if Naruto doesn't go to Jiraiya, Jiraiya himself will go to Naruto. This matter doesn't require Yagami Ryosuke to meddle. He is now what he was most concerned about was the fusion of the three entries of Legendary Sunin. After finding a chair and sitting down, Ryosuke Yagami took out a drop of blood he had previously obtained from Jiraiya, and then converted it into a talent entry. Legendary Sunin, purple. One of the Legendary Sunin of Konoha collect the other two Legendary Sunin entries and can be merged into a golden Legendary Sunin entry. The power of magic add 400%. Creative ability add 400%, 570. Comes with MT Miyamu Sage Mode training method. The talent entries transformed from Jiraiya's body increase the power of fairy magic. There was also a creative ability that Ryosuke Yagami simply ignored. The Sage Mode is, not surprisingly, the Sage Mode training method of Mount Miyamu. Yagami Ryosuke took a look at this entry after putting it on the equipment, and found that the Sage Mode training method of Mount Myaboku still required the cooperation of external objects, otherwise it would be so difficult that it would be almost impossible to successfully practice it. The next step is fusion. To be honest, Ryosuke Yagami is still very much looking forward to it. The 3 entries of the legendary Sunin are not bad in terms of their attributes. They increase the power of physical skills, increase the power of ninjutsu, and now they even increase the power of senjutsu. The power bonus is here. If the fused entry is rubbish, or not as good as the sum of the 3, then Yagami Ryosuke will really be speechless. System, integrating the legendary Sunin entries. Ding. Confirm integration. After fusion, the original talent entries will disappear. Confirm. We have come to this point, there is nothing to hesitate, just confirm it directly. After Yagami Ryosuke confirmed the fusion, the 3 legendary Sunin entries on his character panel were distorted. Fused into a golden legendary Sunin entry. Don't be trash. Ryosuke Yagami prayed in his heart. Then he looked at the attributes of this newly integrated talent entry. Legendary Sunin, Gold. The legendary Sunin of Konoha, the inheritors of the 3 holy places in the ninja world, and the pioneers of the era, the backbone of the future, he is also the creator of legends. Physical power at 800%. Ninjutsu power at 800%. The power of magic at 800%. Comes with perfect fairy mode. Haha. Okay, great entry. That night, Kami Ryosuke saw the entry for the fused golden legendary Sunin, and couldn't help but laugh. This entry is a complete collection of the essence of the 3 legendary Sunin entries, including physical skills. Power, ninjutsu power, and senjutsu power are all included in one entry. It is simply the only thing Ryosuke Yagami has seen in his life. Moreover, its value is not low. All are 800% bonus, a total of 8 times. Not to mention the 2 bonuses of Taijutsu and Ninjutsu that Yagami Ryosuke had already received before. The 800% bonus to the power of Senjutsu alone was enough to make him overjoyed. Jutsu is already much more powerful than ordinary ninjutsu. Now there is an 8-fold power bonus. Isn't this effect so great? Just imagine, some of Ryosuke Yagami's existing ninjutsu, from the original use of ordinary chakra as energy drive was changed to the use of magical chakra as energy drive. Its power and effect suddenly increased several times. Add in the 800% bonus, which is a 20 to 30-fold increase. Those ninjutsu are already so powerful. But now they can really destroy a small country with just one ninjutsu. Awesome. Invincible. Moreover, senjutsu is also ninjutsu, and you also enjoy the power bonus of ninjutsu. This is very bug. Ryosuke Yagami couldn't help but make a tut-tisk sound in his mouth. The entry attribute of magic power bonus should be rare. Because it is different from other bonuses. The bonus of magic power is in after the power of ninjutsu is increased, it is calculated by multiplication, not addition. Therefore, its effect is even more explosive. Even the owner of the entry Ryosuke Yagami feels that it is a bit too titanium. I feel a little embarrassed. Is the switch he opened a bit too big? Yagami Ryosuke thought to himself. What? It can't kill the 6-level strong man? That's okay. It's fine if you open it a little higher. Fusion of the golden legendary Sunin entry. Yagami Ryosuke's strength has been further improved. Now his strength is almost at the 6 paths level. Except that he does not have the power of 6 paths. Yagami Ryosuke is basically like an ordinary 6 paths level in other places. There is not much difference between the strong ones. And the reason why they can reach the level of 6 paths in other aspects without having the power of 6 paths. To put it bluntly, the bonus given by the entry is too strong. Let Ryosuke Yagami transform. The impossible is possible. He directly accomplished something that others could not do. Moreover, although Ryusuke Yagami does not have the power of 6 paths, he has immortality. He also has the effect of immortality in 6 paths mode. And if you give him 10,000 experience points and let him upgrade his immortality entry, the effect may be even better than the immortality effect in the 6 paths mode. Therefore, regard today's Ryusuke Yagami as a statue. In fact, there is not much problem with the combat power of the 6th path level. If you have to be more rigorous, then just call it the accurate 6th path level. This Golden Legend Sunin entry is too powerful, and the bonus to the power of Senjutsu is too heaven-defying. The key is, this thing actually allowed me to learn Sage Mode directly. The previous 3 purple legendary Sunin entries all required Yagami Ryusuke to learn how to use the Sage Mode himself. But this golden legendary Sunin entry directly gave Yagami Ryusuke various experiences and skills in the Sage Mode, allowing him to reach the point in one step and directly master the use of Immortal Mode perfectly. Moreover, this is still the perfect Immortal Mode. What is the perfect Immortal Mode? No matter which Immortal Mode it is in the 3 Holy Lands, it is actually not perfect. Because of these Sage Mode requires a process of absorbing Senjutsu Chakra. No matter how long or short the process is, it just exists. Even Senju Hashirama, who claims to have mastered Sage Mode perfectly, needs a little time to absorb Senjutsu Chakra. Jutsu Chakra, and then the Sage Mode can be turned on. Of course, Senju Hashirama's activation speed is extremely fast, and it really only takes a little time. But the perfect Sage Mode that Ryusuke Yagami got from the entry does not need it at all. He actively absorbs Senjutsu Chakra. To read cool novels, go to Feel a Novel Network. It will passively absorb the natural power of the ninja world, and then merge with Yagami Ryusuke's own chakra to produce Senjutsu Chakra. This generated Senjutsu Chakra will be stored in Ryusuke Yagami's body and will never dissipate. It will only decrease unless it is consumed by use. Otherwise, it will only continue to increase, with an upper limit. That's almost infinite. Just for a moment like this. It only lasts a few minutes. The amount of Senjutsu Chakra accumulated in Yagami Ryusuke's body is already quite huge, enough to support him to use a dozen similar explosive spirals. Pills like this technique will not be completely exhausted. And it is obviously impossible for Ryusuke Yagami to use more than a dozen ninjutsu like the explosive Raise-Non within a few minutes. Therefore, theoretically speaking, the Senjutsu Chakra in his body will never decrease, but will only increase. From now on, he will never lack Senjutsu Chakra. Activate the Immortal Mode whenever you want. You can even drive as long as you want. Because, the consumption of Senjutsu Chakra in Sage Mode is less than 1% of what he passively generates. Ryusuke Yagami can completely ignore this huge amount of consumption. Doesn't this mean you can drive as long as you want? Try my fairy mode. Ryusuke Yagami also became interested in hunting, and immediately teleported to the seaside thousands of miles away through the Flying Thunder God technique. This is the place where he often used to test some powerful ninjutsu. The sea can accommodate everything, including those that can destroy the ultimate ninjutsu. This coastal area is unlucky. Fortunately, there are not many people nearby, so it will not be submerged due to the turbulent sea water, causing casualties. After Ryusuke Yagami arrived here, he directly with a clap of his hands, he mobilized the unfamiliar celestial chakra in his body and activated his Sage Mode. Immortal Mode, on. In an instant, a golden Senjutsu Chakra burst out from Yagami Ryusuke's body, burning like a flame on his body. It blew his already long hair upside down. It looks a bit like the Saiyans in the Dragon Ball world turning on the Super Saiyan mode. Very cool. At the same time, Ryusuke Yagami also has a fairy tattoo between his eyebrows. The crescent moon fairy tattoo is surrounded by outlined with vine-like lines. At the same time, Ryusuke Yagami's originally red eyes also turned golden. They looked like they were sacred and inviolable. Is this my fairy mode? Ryosuke Yagami took out a mirror and looked at his current appearance. His sage mode is quite different from other people's sage modes. The first is the golden aura burning all over his body. It's a bit like Kai Huang opening the 8 gates. And a bit like the transformation of a Super Saiyan. Although the movement is a bit loud, I have to say that he is indeed handsome. They say that whether you are strong or not is a matter of version, but whether you are handsome or not is a matter of life. Ryosuke Yagami, at this time, I am quite satisfied with the way I look. Very handsome. Very strong. Have both. In addition, there are very few immortal tattoos on his face, just a tattoo of immortals between his eyebrows. Crescent Moon, the immortal tattoo looks like the Sharingan. Ryosuke Yagami feels that this immortal tattoo also varies from person to person. It is a bit like an eye that reflects the soul like the Sharingan. My eyes have also turned golden. I wonder what will happen if I turn on the kaleidoscope or white eyes in this state. Just try it. Ryosuke Yagami immediately tried to open the Byakugan and Sharingan. First he opened the Byakugan, no veins popped out, and no eyes turned white. The eyes were still golden, without any change. Then he closed the Byakugan and opened it. Sharingan. This time there are some changes in the eyes. The color is still gold, but the original pattern of Ryosuke Yagami's kaleidoscope appears in the golden eyes, and the 5 black scythes turn into silver. It doesn't look evil at all. Instead, it has a feeling of brilliant heavenly power and divine majesty. It is completely different from the original Mangekyo Sharingan. But there is no change in power. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 115. Immortal Magic. Fire Escape. Exploding Rays Nan. The ball burning with golden flames was thrown out fiercely by Yagami Ryosuke. After flying 1,000 meters away, the golden explosive spiral ball exploded directly in the high air, and the super high temperature fireball formed in an instant directly enveloped it. An area with a radius of more than 2,000 meters. Boom! The sea surface below was squeezed down, forming a huge depression. The trees on the shore were instantly crushed to pieces. The earth collapsed. It looked like the end of the world was coming. The scene was extremely horrifying. In the distance, Ryosuke Yagami used the Flying Thunder God technique to avoid being injured by his own ninjutsu. The range has become larger, and the power is dozens of times greater. Ryosuke Yagami himself was shocked. The destructive power of this blow, even if Uchiha Madara's complete Susanoo came, he would be blown into pieces on the spot. This destruction, completely the 6 paths level, is already reached. Moreover, the Otsutsuki clan cannot absorb Senjutsu Chakra. Therefore, even if this move is not a 6 paths ninjutsu, it can still pose a fatal threat to the Otsutsuki clan. Now, I shouldn't have to worry about the Otsutsuki clan in the future. Ryosuke Yagami thought with a knowing smile. In fact, since his strength reached the Super Shadow level, Ryosuke Yagami is not too worried about the next 4 battles. What he is more worried about is the future crisis of the Otsutsuki clan invading the ninja world. If the strength is less than the 6 paths level, it is difficult to deal with these extraterrestrial visitors. Now it is better, although Yagami Ryosuke does not yet have the symbol of the 6 paths level, the power of the 6 paths. But the power of his magic has already reached the 6 paths level. Therefore, even if people from the Otsutsuki clan are now coming to the ninja world to cause trouble, and Yagami Ryosuke is not afraid at all. The worst is to have a fight. Who is afraid of whom? After testing the power of Senjutsu, Yagami Ryosuke is also I returned to Konoha with satisfaction. I have to say that the perfect sage mode is indeed powerful. It is so powerful that Ryosuke Yagami himself was very surprised. However, what is really powerful is actually the bonuses of the talent entries. If there is no more in terms of those bonuses, Ryosuke Yagami's current strength is actually at the level of Jiraiya, or even worse. After all, there are no attributes such as the immortal body and eye power bonus obtained by the entry. Ryosuke Yagami's I don't dare to use the kaleidoscope casually. It's not like now, it's okay to use it casually. It's similar to Obito's situation. And in Sage mode, there is no bonus to the power of Senjutsu and Ninjutsu. The destructive power plummets by hundreds times. What was originally a 6-level destructive power suddenly turned into an S-level ninjutsu destructive power. It is completely incomparable. However, these talent entries themselves belong to Yagami Ryosuke, and he will not be stupid. All talent entries have been removed. Therefore, there is no such thing as excluding talent entries. It's like a person's strongest point is his marksmanship, but if you insist on excluding marksmanship, he's pretty average in other areas. Isn't that a strong statement? Back in Konoha, Yagami Ryosuke felt the empty feeling after exiting the Sage mode. It was inevitable that he was a little uncomfortable with it. I am the most powerful in Sage mode, even the ultimate power of the Mangekyo, Susanoo, is not as powerful as me. Ryosuke Yagami thought to himself as he walked towards the street with the most hotels in Konoha. If my Sharingan can evolve into the eternal kaleidoscope, it will be able to catch up with my strength in Sage mode, but the eternal kaleidoscope requires the eyes of a blood relative to open it. My Uchiha bloodline is all given by the entry, where do I get any blood relatives? Therefore, the normal route is not suitable for me at all. I need to find another way. But, how to find another way? Ryosuke Yagami thought for a while, and it seemed that he could only rely on talent entries. Forget it, the boat will be straight when it reaches the bridge, and my current strength is already at the quasi-6th level, and I am not inferior to these eternal eyes. Ryosuke Yagami shook his head and simply stopped thinking about this problem. But at this moment, ding! It has been detected that the host has been equipped with 10 golden talent entries, and the system is about to start its second update. Hearing this prompt from the system, Yagami Ryosuke was also stunned when he walked forward. System update? No, the system is a bit slow in your response. Yagami Ryosuke smiled, and then watch as a golden progress bar appears in your mind and starts to move. 1%, 5%, 10%. The progress bar increases very quickly. Less than a minute. It has reached 100% status. Ding. The system update is completed and new functions are enabled. Entry synthesis. After hearing the prompt, Yagami Ryosuke immediately opened the character panel to see what the new function added after the system update was. It looks like it should be a function that combines multiple entries into one. But the specific effect can only be known after seeing it. Soon, Ryosuke Yagami found the entrance to this new function, entry synthesis. After clicking in, it is a synthesis interface. There are 3 grids on the interface. 2 on top and 1 on the bottom. The 2 grids above are white and need to be filled with talent entries to be synthesized. The lower grid is golden. This is where the synthesized talent entries are displayed. Moreover, this synthesis function also has the options of accept and do not accept. After synthesis, Ryosuke Yagami can choose to accept the synthesis result, or not accept the synthesis result. If you choose do not accept, the system will return the previous 2 talent entries. Certainly. Synthesis requires a certain amount of experience points. If you don't accept it, then the experience points will be wasted. But the price is not expensive. Only 100 experience points are charged at a time. It can be said to be very cheap. The effect of synthesis is that there is a certain probability that a talent entry with a higher level will be directly synthesized. In other words, when 2 white talent entries are combined, there is a probability of directly obtaining a green talent entry. If 2 golden talent entries are combined, there is a certain probability of obtaining a god-level talent entry. But, if you want to read cool novels, go to Philo Novel Network. Ryosuke Yagamai really doesn't believe in probability, even if his luck is pretty good. But as mentioned above, the higher the level of the synthesized talent entry, the lower the probability of obtaining a higher level talent entry by synthesis. And the lowest will not be less than 0.0001%. 1 in a million. Do you dare to go any lower? Ryosuke Yagamai is almost certain that the probability of successfully synthesizing a golden entry to create a god-level entry is probably 1 in a million. Such a low probability, unless there is smoke coming out of the ancestral grave. Otherwise, besides wasting 100 experience points, there seems to be no other results. However, it is not cost-effective to synthesize low-level talent entries. 100 experience points are enough to directly upgrade a green talent entry to blue, so the minimum standard for synthesis should be a blue talent entry. Ryosuke Yagamai took a look at the talent entries on his body. The lowest ones are purple. And among them, there are also entries that are useless. It was just that he wanted to increase the number of entries for equipment in order to achieve the goal of the second update. Requirements, so we did not decompose these useless entries. However, Ryosuke Yagamai did not expect that the trigger condition for the second update would actually require the equipment of 10 golden talent entries. Fortunately, this time, the legendary Sun and Words were integrated article, allowing him to successfully obtain the 10th golden talent entry. Otherwise, no matter how many purple talent entries he equips, it will be useless. There is no way to trigger the second update of the system. The 2 talent entries of the first generation Nikage and Akamaru's Master are the most useless. I don't need their attributes at all, so I can combine them and try to see whether the probability is high or low. Ryosuke Yagamai scanned the entries on his body, and then found the 2 talent entries that he thought were the most useless. He was going to try the probability of the synthesis first. Anyway, even if it didn't succeed, you can also choose not to accept it, and the loss will only be 100 experience points. Ryosuke Yagamai can't afford to lose just 100 experience points. Just remove these 2 talent entries, and then move them to the synthesis interface on the top, place it in the 2 grids above. At this time, the originally gray synthesis button below also lit up. Yagamai Ryosuke directly pressed the synthesis button with his mind. In an instant, 2 golden rays of light lit up. The 2 grids above are connected to the grid below. Just a moment later, a new talent entry is born. Ding! Congratulations to the host for synthesizing the talent entry, Assassin, purple. Seeing the results prompted by the system, Yagamai Ryosuke also shook his head. I knew this success rate would be impressive. The first failure was also expected by Ryosuke Yagamai. He took a look at the attributes of this assassin entry and found that it was a little better than the 2 previously synthesized entries, but it was still good. Limited. What is added is the bonus to the stealth effect and the bonus to the damage caused by sneak attacks. The former is very useful, as Yagamai Ryosuke has a better invisible person entry. As for the latter, it is actually not bad. However, with Ryosuke Yagamai's current strength, he no longer needs to carry out sneak attacks. So it is actually dispensable. Then don't. Ryosuke Yagamai directly chose do not accept the synthesis result. Immediately, the entry assassin in the golden grid below disappeared, and the 2 entries in the 2 grids above were also returned. Try again. It's just one attempt, which doesn't explain anything. Ryosuke Yagamai thought about trying it a few more times to see if he can synthesize a golden talent entry after trying it 10 times or 8 times, it would be considered a success. After all, it's only 100 experience points once. Even if it's 10 times, it's only 1000 experience points. It's just enough to upgrade a blue talent entry to purple. It's not enough to upgrade a purple talent entry to gold. In fact, success within 90 times, in Yagamai Ryosuke's view, is a profit. If it is more than 90 times, unless the attributes of the synthesized entries are particularly good. Otherwise, it will be a loss to some extent. Next. Yagami Ryusuke synthesized again and again. The second time failed. The third time failed. The fourth time still failed. It failed a total of 11 times. Including the first time, it failed 12 times. It cost Ryusuke Yagami 1,200 experience points. The experience points that had already exceeded 5,000 points now dropped back to just over 4,000. Try it 8 more times, and if it still fails, forget it today. Ryusuke Yagami thought about it and decided that he would definitely synthesize it a maximum of 8 times today, which would be enough for 20 times. If it still fails, it means he is not very lucky today. Wait 2 days, or try again tomorrow to synthesize it and see how it goes. The 13th synthesis. Yagami Ryusuke watched his remaining experience points drop from 4,123 points to 4,023 points, and his heart ached a little. After all, this was the experience points he had accumulated with great difficulty. It was so much. He spent a lot of money. How could he not feel bad? Hey! Why is the synthesis effect different this time? Ryusuke Yagami looked at the synthesis grid filled with golden light. The previous 12 synthesises did not have such a light effect. Could it be? Ding! Congratulations to the host for synthesizing the talent entry, Shadow Swordsman, Gold. Withdrawal. I actually made a withdrawal. It was synthesized 13 times, costing 1,300 experience points, plus 2 purple talent entries. The total value is only 3,300 experience points. Unexpectedly, the golden talent entry was actually synthesized. Ryusuke Yagami looked at the glittering talent entry on the synthesis interface with a look of ecstasy on his face. I feel so happy. New feature, awesome. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 116. Shadow Swordsman, Gold. You are a world-famous Shadow Swordsman. Your swordsmanship is superb. Any target you kill will turn into your shadow and be used by you. Swordsmanship power at 1000%. Shadow strength at 800%. Comes with the shadow-eating sword. Shadow Swordsman. Can you turn a killed target into your own shadow? When Ryusuke Yagami saw this entry, the first thing he thought of was the Nara clan of Konoha. Their secret technique is to control their own shadows, and they have created many secret techniques for using shadows. As for the talent entry of Shadow Swordsman, the effect is that the shadow of the killed target can be turned into one's own use. As for how to personalize this for one's own use, Ryusuke Yagami still has to give it a try. Just found out. The attributes of this entry are also very good. The power of swordsmanship has increased by 1000%. It also increased the strength of the shadow. Although it is not 1000%, it has reached 800%, which is very good. I just don't know the strength of this shadow. Based on what? Is it calculated based on Ryusuke Yagami himself? Or based on the strength of the target being killed? I guess it should be the latter. Otherwise, kill anyone at will and take away his shadow. The effect is exactly the same as killing a strong man and then taking away the shadow of this strong man. Then who would go to kill those strong men? Just go to ordinary people. How simple. And, this time the entry actually comes with a weapon? This is the first time Ryusuke Yagami has seen an entry with a physical object attached. He has never seen such an entry before. 560. Try it on your equipment. Ryusuke Yagami couldn't wait to move the entry of Shadow Swordsman from the synthesis interface to his character panel, and then directly selected the talent entry on the equipment. In an instant, Ryusuke Yagami understood what had happened before doubts. The shadow of the killed target given by the shadow swordsman entry is indeed calculated according to the strength of the killed target. However, because the shadow has no entity, there is naturally no chakra or anything. Therefore, the strength of the shadow is pure speed. The stronger the shadow, the faster it is. And, because it is a shadow, most attacks are ineffective against it. For example, physical attacks have no effect. Most ninjutsu attacks are also ineffective. The exceptions are yin release and yang release. Moreover, thunder release will also have a certain impact on shadows, but it is not as serious as yin-yang release. In addition, the shadow control secret technique of the Nara clan can also be regarded as this ability. A nemesis. Because their shadow secret technique can fix the shadow controlled by Yagami Ryusuke. There is also light. In a completely lightless place, shadow cannot exist. So there must be light for shadow to exist. From a point of view, the ability to control shadows given by the shadow swordsman still has many limitations. But this does not cover up the power of this ability. After all, it can ignore most attacking shadows. You can't hurt it, and you can also stop it. If you can't get it, you can only run away. And if you can't run away from it, then you can only be killed. Before, Yagami Ryusuke thought that the shadow devouring sword attached to the entry was a real thing, but in fact it was not. It actually made Ryusuke Yagami can attach the shadow eating sword to any sword type weapon. In this way, the attached weapon will have the effect of eating shadows. Only the targets killed by it, Ryusuke Yagami, can obtain their shadows. In addition, Ryusuke Yagami himself can also integrate himself into his own shadow while holding the shadow-eating sword, thereby attacking the target in an unexpected way. The method is that Ryusuke Yagami blends into the shadow, and then the shadow moves silently to the target, follow him and come out from the shadow, and give the opponent a fatal blow. It must be said that this ability is quite suitable for ninjas. But Ryusuke Yagami is no longer a ninja in the conventional sense. He doesn't need to use this method to kill the enemy at all. Not to mention that he has learned the art of flying thunder god himself. This thing is much easier to use than blending into the shadow or something like that. After all, the shadow will still be found. But teleportation? How do you find out in advance? It just depends on whether your reaction speed is fast enough. If it's not fast enough, you're basically dead. It's a pretty good entry, and if you can control thousands of shadows, the effect will be quite powerful. Yagami Ryusuke is very satisfied with this synthesized golden entry. But as far as one entry is concerned, this Shadow Swordsman entry is already of the highest quality among the golden entries. After all, even if Yagami Ryusuke only such an entry can make his strength terrifying and become a nightmare for countless people. There are 11 golden entries. I wonder how many golden entries are needed for the next system update. Or do you need to obtain a god-level talent entry to activate the conditions for the third update? This is not a random guess by Ryusuke Yagami. After all, the first update only required the number of entries, and there was no requirement for the level of the entries themselves. But the second update required that 10 golds must be equipped. Talent words. The requirements have suddenly risen a lot. Then in the third update, it is very likely that god-level talent words will be needed. But Ryusuke Yagami doesn't have this thing either. We can only wait and see. Let's see if we can synthesize one. As for using experience points to upgrade, forget it. Then we have to wait until the year of the monkey and the horse and the moon. By the way, the hang-up function of the previous update, I wonder if there are any changes after this update. Yagami Ryusuke suddenly thought of a guess he had made earlier, and quickly looked at the 3 hang-up slots under the character panel. This look really made Ryusuke Yagami discover the changes in this old function. The first is the hang-up slot. The slots have been increased. There were 3 before. The 3 golden talent entries of Destiny's Son, Asura's mercy and Indra's resentment are respectively placed. But now, there are 5 idle slots. There are 2 more empty slots. There are 2 more slots, and the experience points gained from hanging up in a single day have also increased. A look of surprise flashed in Ryusuke Yagami's eyes. If the increase in slots can be regarded as a small surprise, then the increase in idle experience points made Ryusuke Yagami very excited. The original idle function was golden. You can get 10 experience points by hanging up a talent entry for 1 day. In this case, if you want to upgrade a golden talent entry to the god level, you need to hang up for 000 days. More than 27 years. That's too long. And now, the experience gained by hanging up the value has changed from 10 o'clock a day to 10 o'clock an hour. It is 24 before. It originally took more than 27 years to upgrade the golden talent entry. Now it only takes more than a year to hang up and you can successfully upgrade it to a god level talent entry. This improvement is not too big. Moreover, Ryusuke Yagami's 3 golden talent entries have been idle for more than 2 years. At this time, he has accumulated thousands of experience points. Calculated based on the current idle efficiency, it is equivalent to more than a month. It's just over a month. It's a bit unpleasant to think about it. Ryusuke Yagami muttered in a low voice. The previous 2 years were equivalent to more than 1 month now. If the system had been updated earlier, he would have had more than 1 god-level talent entry now. Forget it, it's not too late now. Ryusuke Yagami immediately put up 2 new golden talent entries. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Filu Novel Network. This time he chose Legendary Sunin and Uchiha Madara approved. The 2 golden talent entries are placed on the idle position. The Legendary Sunin is a must select, because it has a unique magic power bonus attribute. And the entry The Man approved by Uchiha Madara is also it is necessary to upgrade earlier. Ryusuke Yagami really wants to see how far the lossless version of the 8-door armor it comes with will be after the upgrade. Now it opens 6 doors without loss. What about after the upgrade? Opens 7 doors without loss? Or opens 8 doors without loss? But no matter which case it is very strong. And the other attributes of this entry are also very good. Physical power, recovery, and physical fitness, these 3 attributes are not uncomfortable and useful. Therefore, among many golden among the talent entries, Ryusuke Yagami chose these 2 to upgrade first. Anyway, it will just take more than a year. By then, these 5 golden entries will be upgraded to god-level talent entries. The system should probably the 3rd update has been completed. In that case, the hang-up function will definitely be improved by 0. There are 5 AFK slots now, but when the time comes there will be at least 7, right? There are also experience points given by hanging up, currently 240 points a day and 10 points an hour. From now on, maybe it will be 10 o'clock 1 minute. If there are really 10 experience points per minute, then it will be 600 points in 1 hour, and a full 14,400 experience points in 1 day. In less than a day, a purple talent entry can be upgraded to gold. In 7 days, a golden talent entry can be upgraded to god level. With this efficiency, are you worried that the upgrade of other entries will be slow? Certainly. 14,400 experience points a day, that's just Ryusuke Yagami's own good wish for the time being. Can it be realized specifically? That depends on what happens next update. Anyway, if you think about it, it's not illegal. Isn't it enough to make people think about it? The door of a hotel. Uzumaki Kaoru, who had long red hair and wore glasses, was looking around expectantly, as if waiting for someone to arrive. The second round of the Chuyunin exams ended yesterday, but why hasn't Ryusuke-kun come to see me yet? Yes, Ryusuke-kun must be busy with other things. I can wait. Come on, Xianglin. Since Ryosuke-kun said he would come to you, he will definitely come. But, is this the second day? Has Ryosuke-kun forgotten me? No no no. Xianglin, how could you think so? Ryosuke-kun is so kind. And he looks so handsome. How could he not keep his word? He must have been busy with other more important things, so he delayed. Xianglin had been waiting since yesterday. After waiting all day, she didn't sleep much at night, and then she started running to the hotel door to wait for people in the early morning. The owner of the hotel couldn't stand it anymore and told her that she could go to the room to rest and wait. If anyone came to see her, he would notify her. But Xianglin was stubborn and insisted on waiting at the door. It seemed as if he was afraid that if he didn't wait outside, he would miss something. It was already noon. Xianglin touched Kong Kong's belly. She is hungry. But Xianglin didn't dare to leave, for fear that as soon as she left, Ryosuke Yagamai would come looking for her. If she happened not to be there at that time, wouldn't it be missed? So Xianglin could only endure her hunger and continue to stand on the street in front of the hotel, looking forward to it. More than half an hour later, Xianglin seemed to have seen something. Her eyes lit up and she immediately ran over there. Ryosuke-kun. As soon as Yagamai Ryosuke walked into the street, a red figure jumped into his arms. If he hadn't seen clearly in advance that the person coming was Xiangrin, he almost dodged it. Woohoo 4.5 woohoo. Ryosuke-kun, you are finally here. I thought you didn't want me anymore. Xiangrin cried excitedly. Tears fell on Yagamai Ryosuke's shoulders. Everyone around heard the cry and looked over. They found a young couple hugging over there, so they smiled. Walk away. The young couple may have not seen each other for a long time, so they are so excited. It's weird for them to watch here. It's better not to disturb them. Okay, here I am. Ryosuke Yagamai gently patted Xiangrin's back. After a while, he let her get off him. After crying, Xianglin still looked a little embarrassed. Secretly wiping the tears on his face, he then raised his head to look at Yagamai Ryosuke and said, Ryosuke-kun, I knew you would definitely come to me, but in fact, if Ryosuke-kun has other important things to do, if so, it'll be fine if I wait any longer. Looking at Xiangrin, who was so obedient and sensible in front of him, Ryosuke Yagamai also smiled and put his hand on her head. It's okay, my affairs have been taken care of, he said. Are you hungry? Come on, I'll take you to have something to eat. With Ryosuke-kun by my side, I won't feel hungry even if I don't eat. Xiangrin looked at Yagamai Ryosuke infatuatedly. But as soon as she finished speaking, her stomach growled. In an instant, Xiangrin's face turned red. She was so embarrassed that she wanted to dig a hole and crawl in. It's so embarrassing. This stomach growl is really not the right time. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 117. Ichiraku Ramen Restaurant. Guest, your face is here. Icarus placed a bowl of noodles in front of Xiangrin, smiled and glanced at Yagamai Ryosuke, who was sitting beside him. Guest, please wait for a while, your noodles will be ready soon. Yagamai. Ryosuke nodded, then looked at Xianglin and said, eat it and see if it's as delicious as you heard. It turns out that Ryosuke Yagamai wanted to go eat barbecue. But in the end, Xiangrin said that when she was in Kosunan village, she heard that Konoha's Ichiraku ramen was particularly delicious, and she always wanted to try it to see what it was like. The taste. Since Xiangrin said so, Yagamai Ryosuke took her to the Ichiraku ramen shop to taste the handmade uncle's craftsmanship. I'll wait until Ryosuke-kun's ramen is ready before we eat together. Xiangrin glanced at Yagamai Ryosuke and said. It's okay, you eat first, mine will be ready soon, and the ramen should be eaten while it's hot, it won't taste good when it's cold. Ryosuke Yagamai took a pair of chopsticks and handed them to her. Eat. Xianglin took the chopsticks and glanced at the steaming hot milk in front of her, then nodded with red eyes. Woohoo! Delicious! After taking a bite of the ramen, Xiangren couldn't help but his eyes lit up. Is it really that delicious? Yagami Ryusuke looked at Xiangren as if he had eaten some delicacy in the world. He always felt that she was just like Naruto, how could she eat all of it? Ichiraku ramen always looks so exaggerated. But Yagami Ryusuke soon understood. It's not that Ichiraku ramen is so delicious, but that like Kaoru and Naruto, they haven't eaten much of these before. Normal food. Naruto was because the merchants in Konoha wouldn't sell it to him. He had nowhere to spend the money. And Xianglin was because of her status in the Grass Ninja Village. She lived in the Grass Ninja Village as a tool. Xianglin's mother was bitten to death, and now Xianglin is facing the same situation. Those people in Cao Ninja Village have never treated her as a person at all. So Xianglin used to eat they were all cold rice, steamed buns, and the like. Like Ichiraku ramen, it was steaming hot and had just been served. It was indeed the first time in her life that she had eaten it. That's why she was like this, as if she had eaten something in the world. Delicious. 07. It's not that Xiangren and Naruto are exaggerating on purpose. But in their perception, this is indeed the delicious food in the world. If it's delicious, eat more. If it's not enough, you can order more later. Ryusuke Yagami thought of this and looked at Xiangren who was sitting next to him, his eyes becoming more and more distressed. How did this girl survive in the past? As for Naruto, at least there is a Sarutobi Hiruzen who can be hypocritical, pretending to gain a good impression in front of him. A little care from time to time can move Naruto so much. But what about Xiangren? She really doesn't even have anyone who cares about her in the Grass Ninja Village. Even younger sometimes her mother was still there, but since her mother died, everyone in the whole village looked at her with malice. Those so-called companions just used her as a blood bag. She couldn't even feel the slightest bit of false concern. No wonder, she would show such obsession with her peers who saved her. In fact, it's not that Xianglin is a nymphomaniac, but that she has been in love with her for more than 10 years. In her dark life, a beam of light finally came in, so she tried her best to keep this beam of light. She was afraid. Afraid of returning to that dark world again. Xianglin. Yakami Ryusuke suddenly called out her name. Xianglin, who had her mouth full of ramen, raised her head and looked at him in confusion. Let's live in Konoha from now on. Ryusuke Yagami had a smile on his face. I raise you. Click. The chopsticks in Xiangren's hand fell to the ground. She looked at Yagami Ryusuke in a daze, and she forgot to swallow the ramen in her mouth. Gradually, her eyes became red. Tears. It flowed on her cheeks like a dam bursting. With a cry, Xiangren cried and hugged Yagami Ryusuke. The soup stains on her mouth were all over Yagami Ryusuke's clothes. But Yagami Ryusuke didn't. He cared. He hugged the girl distressedly, patted her back gently, and comforted her. There was not much business today in the Ichiraku ramen shop. The boss had just finished his work, and his daughter Iris was about to prepare Yagami Ryusuke's ramen. Bring it up. When they saw this scene, both of them looked at it with confusion. They didn't know what happened. Xiangren cried for a while and then let go of Yagami Ryusuke. Sorry, I soiled your clothes. I know how to wash clothes. I can clean them for you. Xiangren looked at the soup stains on Yagami Ryusuke's clothes with a look of guilt on his face. It's fine. Ryusuke Yagami smiled and patted her little head. Eat the noodles, don't let them get cold. He handed over a new pair of chopsticks to Xianglin. Xianglin nodded, took the chopsticks and glanced at him secretly before lowering his head and continuing to eat noodles. Just as he was eating, he would suddenly laugh without warning. It was obvious. Ryosuke Yagami couldn't help but smile and rubbed her head. It's delicious, don't laugh all the time. Xianglin nodded. At this time, Chang Pu also came over with a face. She first looked at Xianglin doubtfully, and then put down the face. Ryosuke-kun, your ramen is ready. Sorry, Sister Calamus. Ryosuke Yagami said with a smile. He, Icarus and Uncle Hans are old acquaintances. After all, he has been coming to their place to eat ramen in the past 2 years, and they have become familiar with each other while eating. No trouble, you eat slowly, I'll get busy first. Icarus smiled, then secretly winked at Yagami Ryosuke, and then turned around and left. Yagami Ryosuke smiled, knowing that Icarus had misunderstood something. But he didn't explain it. Just misunderstand it? Anyway. Things in the morning and evening. After coming out of Ichiraku ramen shop, Xiangrin's belly was obviously bulging. She looked satisfied. She had never been so full as she was today. Come on, I'll show you where you'll live in the future. Ryosuke Yagami took Xiangrin's little hand and looked at her and said. Ryosuke-kun, do you want to take me home? Xianglin looked at him in surprise. It doesn't matter, I live with my mother now, but I still have a few houses in Konoha. Ryosuke Yagami was going to arrange Xiangrin in one of his houses. It was just right, he bought those houses when he had nothing to do, mainly because he had too much money and no place to spend it, so he bought a few houses. They were all bought based on the location. They were all 2-story buildings. As for the apartment building, Yagami Ryosuke didn't like it very much, so he didn't buy it. And he was not short of money. There was no need to buy an apartment building. It's so cool to watch for novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Now Ryosuke Yagami takes Xiangrin to one of his houses. Auntie comes to clean the house regularly, so there is no need to worry about hygiene. Xiangrin moves in after that. As long as you buy some daily necessities and so on, you can move in directly. Anyway, the furniture and other items are all ready. You can move in with your bags. Is Ryosuke-kun planning to hide his beauty in the golden house? Xiangrin suddenly said. Ryosuke Yagami. He almost stumbled and fell. I didn't expect Xianglin to blurt out such words. He looked speechlessly at Xianglin behind him, who was sticking out his tongue in embarrassment. Yes, I am Jinwu Zhangqiao, and you will be the mistress from now on. Ryosuke Yagami said angrily. When he heard Ryosuke Yagami say that she was his mistress, Xiangrin was not only not unhappy, but also very happy. He. If it were Ryosuke-kun, I would be willing to be a mistress. Ryosuke Yagami looked at this girl dumbfounded. What if it's a primary 4 or a primary 5? It doesn't matter. Then your requirements are really not high. He. As long as Ryosuke-kun likes it, I can do it. Okay, I know you are obedient and sensible. The two chatted all the way, and soon arrived at Yagami Ryosuke's house. This is it. Let me take you in and take a look. Yagami Ryosuke took out the key to the house, opened the door to the yard and walked in. The house has 2 floors, with front and rear gardens. The size is actually similar to the one where Yagami Ryosuke lives with his mother now. Xiangrin is alone. It's actually a bit empty when it comes to living there. But Ryosuke Yagami comes over occasionally. So it's not lonely. I took Xiangrin to visit the house, and then Ryosuke Yagami took her to buy some daily necessities and clothes. And so on. It took most of the day to buy all these things. Okay, here is the key. Take it. I also have one here. If you lose it, just tell me. Ryosuke Yagami handed her the key and felt a sense of accomplishment when he looked at Xiangrin's new home that had been decorated. Will Ryosuke-kun stay here tonight? Xianglin hugged his arm with a look of anticipation. What are you thinking? Ryosuke Yagami poked her head with his finger. You are still young, and the most important thing you should do now is practice and improve your strength. Ryosuke Yagami said, you are from the Uzumaki clan, and your abilities are far more than that. Develop your bloodline well, and you will be at least an elite jounin in the future. Starting from tomorrow, I will guide you in practicing. Don't complain then. When she heard that Ryosuke Yagami was not going to stay tonight, Xiangren was still a little disappointed, but when she heard that Ryosuke Yagami would guide her to practice from tomorrow, she immediately became happy again. As for whether it is bitter or not, as long as she can stay by Yagami Ryosuke's side, no matter how hard or tired she is, she will feel happy. After dealing with Xionglin's matter, Yagami Ryosuke gave some instructions and then went home. But she met him on the way. Hinata and Ino came together to find him. Yagami Ryosuke thought they had discovered that he was hiding his beauty in the golden house outside. They were shocked at first. But after thinking about it, what good could he do? Are you afraid? Under his guidance, Hinata and Ino would not care at all if there were other women around him. These are the things that Ryosuke Yagami has been subtly changing their minds little by little since they were young. In addition, there is no strict monogamy in the ninja world. For example, daimyo from various countries have several wives. Of course, Ryosuke Yagami is not a daimyo. But can a daimyo compare with him? What kind of rubbish is that? Dare to touch a quasi 6th level powerhouse? So, rubbish like daimyo 600 can have several wives. Why can't Ryosuke Yagami have one? Why are you here together? Ryosuke Yagami asked in confusion. Originally, I came to talk to you about something, but then I met Hinata on the way, so we came together. Ino said. Hinata also nodded. Is there something important? Ryosuke Yagami asked. It's a question about the practice for the next month. Ino said, my family heard that I lost to Hinata and failed to advance to the 3rd exam, so my dad planned to arrange a special training plan for me, so I might not be able to go out for the next month. It's pretty much the same here. Hinata nodded and said, my father also said that he would arrange a month of special training for me after knowing that I advanced to the 3rd exam and that my opponent was Niji's brother. Ryosuke Yagami. Hinata arranged special training for Hinata, and he understood. But what is the situation with Hai Yamanaka? Why does Yagami Ryosuke feel that this old father-in-law deliberately doesn't want Ino to come out to meet him? But, is it useful to be so defensive? It's of no use at all. Ryosuke, I don't want special training, but my dad can't say anything, and I almost got into a fight with him. Ino had an unhappy expression. Hinata actually didn't want to stay at home for a month without seeing Ryosuke Yagami. But her father had already issued a death order. And she didn't want to lose to Hyuga Niji in a month but. Hinata also felt that Ino's father was somewhat unreasonable. Ino was clearly eliminated. What kind of special training is arranged? It's okay, it was only a month and passed quickly. Yakami Ryosuke gently hugged the two of them and comforted them. Hinata, you have to practice hard this month, Ino said, just try not to make your father angry. I guess Mr. Hai only trained you too harshly. Yagami Ryosuke said sincerely that there is a high probability that Yamanaka Hai is just using the special training as an excuse. After all, he has never seen him ask Ino so strictly before. This time, Ino is lying on his back. The problem is still with Yagami. On Ryosuke Kami. Who told him to have 2 girlfriends? Almost the entire Jounin circle of Konoha knew about it. No wonder Yamanaka Kiki was so angry. Ryosuke Yagami said that he can understand an old father mood. But this does not mean that he will quit. He will only prove to Yamanaka Hiki that Ino following him is the best choice. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 118. After comforting Hinata and Ino and allowing them to practice peacefully for the next month, Ryosuke Yagami sent them home. Not being able to see each other again for the next month actually made Ryosuke Yagami quite uncomfortable. Before graduation, the three of them were together almost every day. Ryosuke Yagami and Hinata often practiced together, while Ino sat watching. After graduation, although they were in different teams, they couldn't be together every day. But basically we meet up every 1 or 2 days, have a meal, go shopping, and so on. And now, I can't see you for a month. Ryosuke Yagami was actually quite reluctant to let go. But he didn't want Hinata and Ino to embarrass themselves and have a conflict with his parents over his boyfriend. It would only be a month anyway. Be patient and it will pass. The next few days, Ryosuke Yagami took Xiangrin to the fort training ground to practice during the day. Ask her to climb trees and tread water, the basic skills of a ninja. After Xiangrin becomes proficient, teach her some ninjutsu. Yagami Ryosuke tested Xiangrin's Chithay pull attribute is the dual attribute of water and earth. Therefore, most of what he handed over to Xianglin was water escape. The second is 1 or 2 defensive earth escape ninjutsu. For example, the mainstream earth flow wall technique. It's the one where Kakashi drew the dog's head. However, the dog head is Kakashi's exclusive symbol, and most people won't play with it that way. This lasted for half a month. Xianglin's strength has also improved rapidly. She learned the skills of climbing trees and treading water in just 2 days. After that, it basically takes 4 days to learn one ninjutsu. In half a month, Xianglin has learned 2 water escapes and 1 earth escape. Compared with half a month ago, the strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. In fact, Xianglin has quite a lot of chakra. As a member of the Uzumaki clan, Keiru's chakra is several times more than that of an ordinary elite jounin. Although not as exaggerated as Naruto. But it basically reached the amount of 6 calories of chakra. With the support of such a sufficient amount of chakra, it couldn't be easier for Xiangrin to perform some C-level or even B-level ninjutsu. First half month. Ryosuke Yagami mainly arranged for Xiangrin to practice ninjutsu. The next half month, what he arranged for Xianglin was a training model that focused on ninjutsu and supplemented by physical skills. After all, as a ninja, you don't have to resort to ninjutsu. But you can't help but return to taijutsu. Even ninjutsu-type ninjas will not learn 1 or 2 taijutsu to avoid situations that require close combat. Because Ryosuke Yagami uses a knife. So Xianglin also wanted to learn swordsmanship from him. So Ryosuke Yagami gave her Konoha-style swordsmanship. Konoha-style swordsmanship is a series of swordsmanship moves summarized by the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobirama, which draws on many samurai moves from the samurai era. Combined with the ninja's chakra, it can exert great power. In fact, samurai in this era are no longer pure samurai. Samurai like those from the Iron Kingdom are actually trained in chakra. It is not wrong to say that they are ninjas who practice swordsmanship. After all, how can a serious samurai refine chakra? That's ninja stuff. Therefore, it is inevitable that there will be some intersections between samurai and ninjas during this period. And Senju Tobirama summed up the Konoha-style swordsmanship in this process. When it comes to swordsmanship, among the ninja villages of the 5 major countries, you have to look at Konoha. Don't look at the fact that Kirigakure has 7 people with ninja swords. But that's not how good their swordsmanship is. But simply because of those 7 special ninja swords. Speaking of swordsmanship. And Konoha's swordsmanship is second to none. After all, it was something summed up by the big boss Senju Tobirama. There is a saying in the ninja world that products produced by Senju Tobirama must be top quality. However, Senju Hashirama generally likes to say the sentence as if it is produced by Senju Tobirama, it must be banned. The reason is that as long as the ninjutsu created by Senju Tobirama, except for water release, almost all of them are forbidden jutsu. Almost 99% of the ninjutsu in Konoha sealed book came from the hands of Senju Tobirama. The rest are some sealing techniques brought back from the Uzumaki clan, such as the ban on corpses. The day before the third official match of the Chuunin exams, Yagami Ryusuke left Konoha with the accomplished Korin. He left with Xianglin using the Flying Thunder God technique, so no one knew about their departure. After leaving Konoha, Ryusuke Yagami took Kaoru and headed straight for the Kusanagi village. It took about half a day, and the two finally arrived near the Grass Ninja village. When you arrive, I will protect you in secret, and all you have to do is pick up the knife and kill everyone you see. Ryusuke Yagami said to Xiangrin in front of her. Xiangrin nodded seriously after hearing the words. After a month of practice, her whole person's energy and spirit have changed greatly compared to a month ago. As Xianglin a month ago, no matter how hard she tried to pretend to be strong, always looked like a pitiful injured beast. But Xianglin a month later, her whole person exuded the light of confidence. You can no longer look at her. I saw that humble and weak shadow on my body. In 1 month, Xiangrin had almost undergone earth-shaking changes. And all of this was transformed bit by bit under the personal guidance of Ryusuke Yagami, giving Ryusuke Yagami a feeling of cultivation. Needless to say, it's quite a sense of accomplishment. Go ahead. Ryusuke Yagami nodded towards Xiangrin. I won't let Ryusuke down, Xiangrin said seriously. Then he turned around, took his ninja sword, and quickly flew towards the direction of Kusanagi village. If we say that a month ago, Xiangrin's strength was only at the genin level in all aspects except chakra. So after a month of instruction from Ryusuke Yagami, she is now no longer inferior to any Chuunin in terms of strength. The reason why she has improved so much is because of Xiangrin's own good foundation, plus her I am willing to endure hardship, so I have achieved today's results. Otherwise, if it were another person, even if he trained for a few more months, he would not have made such a big improvement as Xianglin. To put it bluntly, Xianglin's surname is Uzumaki. What about you? Uchiha? Hinata? Senju? Minajiki? Kagaya? Or Atsutsuki? To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Filu Novel Network. If not, then you can only be honest. It's time to wait. Grass Ninja Village, village entrance. 2 genin from Grass Ninja Village are performing the task of guarding the gate. However, as a ninja village in a small country, no one will come to Grass Ninja Village to cause trouble on weekdays. Those with strength, look, you can't go to a small ninja village like this. Those who have no strength will not ask for trouble. Therefore, the job of looking at the gate is quite easy. The 2 genin chatted while casually paying attention to the surrounding things, completely just fishing. Counting the days, it's almost the 3rd game of the joint Chuunin examination held in Konoha this time, right? Murata, do you think the 6 people sent by our village can have hope? Murata. The genin who spoke was confused as to why his companion didn't respond to him. When he turned around, he found that the Murata in his mouth was wide-eyed in horror. He was covering the wound on his neck with both hands, but the blood couldn't stop. It keeps gushing out from the wound. Murata! The genin exclaimed. He was just about to send someone over to sound the alarm, but in the next second a sharp blade penetrated from the back of his neck. Poof! The ninja sword was pulled out, and blood flowed instantly. Fountain. Xianglin looked coldly at the 2 grass ninjas who fell on the ground. She recognized them. One of them had kicked her before and called her a bastard. The other one also laughed at her with the others. These people's Xianglin remembered every face clearly. Perhaps even she had imagined that one day she would be able to seek revenge on these people. But Xianglin did not expect that this day would come so quickly. At this time, having killed these 2 enemies with his own hands, Xianglin felt that the depression that was suppressed in her chest was slightly relieved. Not enough. Xiangrin turned to look inside the village. Then he disappeared in an instant. On the ground, two grass ninjas who were not yet dead stared at Xiangren, who disappeared in front of them in disbelief. Once upon a time, Xiangren, it's just a tool in their eyes, just a blood bag. They never thought that one day in the future, they would die in the hands of such a person who they regarded as a tool. Regret, anger, unwillingness. All kinds of emotions, the thoughts came to my mind, but the world in front of me was quickly swallowed by darkness. There was no time to say goodbye. The two grass ninjas completely lost consciousness. The killing began. Kaoru, who had already achieved the strength of a Chunin, was a threat to the whole village. For the grass ninja village, where most ninjas are just genin, it is a one-sided massacre. Even if one or two Chunin appear occasionally, they will be quickly defeated by Kaoru using water escape ninjutsu. Then he will use Konoha-style swordsmanship. Kill them. To be honest, the Chuyunin in a small ninja village like Kusanagi village is obviously not as strong as the Chuyunin from the 5 major countries. In terms of level, it is between Genin and Chunin. A little more powerful only in order to reach the basic standards of Chunin of the 5 major countries. And Xiangren's strength, even in the Chuyunin circle of Konoha, is one of the more powerful ones. When it comes to these parallel Chunin, naturally it is not next. And the Jonin of Kusanagi village? At this moment, Ryosuke Yagamai had picked them out one by one, and then chopped them all with one sword. The ninja sword attached to the Shadow Eater sword. After killing these ninjas, then he swallowed their shadows. This was the first time Ryosuke Yagamai used the power of the Shadow Eating sword. At this time, he looked at the dozen or so shadows surrounding him, and with a thought, these shadows merged into his own shadow. Apart from the fact that the color of the shadow has become slightly darker, no changes can be seen at all. And as long as Yagamai Ryoji's thoughts move, these shadows will instantly emerge from his shadow and turn into the most terrifying killer in the world, to kill any target he assigns to them. Go, find the other Jounin in this village, and kill them. Ryosuke Yagamai issued orders to these dozen shadows. People killed by shadows, Ryosuke Yagamai can also obtain the shadows of these people. This is like a virus. It will spread infinitely, until kill every immune cell. And now, these ninjas are immune cells, and the shadows controlled by Ryosuke Yagamai are viruses. Brush. Brush. A dozen shadows disappeared in front of Ryosuke Yagamai in an instant. The speed of movement is much faster than that of ordinary Jounin. Obviously, these shadows have inherited the strength of those killed ninjas. Except that they did not check the carrot, Li Zhao, and could not use ninjutsu, there is no difference in other aspects. Again, plus an 800% bonus, making them faster and more deadly. Next. Ryosuke Yagamai doesn't even need to take action. He just needs to look at Xianglin to make sure she doesn't danger, and other matters were all left to the shadows to deal with. Those grass ninjas hiding in the village were killed inexplicably before they could realize what was going on. They didn't even know when they died. What killed him? But this can be considered a kind of luck. At least there is no pain when dying. For people like them, it is already a gift. Half an hour later, Xianglin stood on the grass. There was an open space in the center of the ninja village. There were corpses all around her. In the entire Kusaku ninja village, except Yagamai Ryosuke and Xiangren, there were no other living people. Until this time, Xiangren killed someone for the first time. After realizing it, she started to bend over and vomit. At this time, Ryosuke Yagamai also appeared beside her. He patted her back gently. After waiting for a while, Xiangren also finished vomiting, although her face looked pale. Still pale, but with a smile after a great revenge. The whole person looked relieved. Ryosuke, I want to take away my mother's bones. Xiangren said. Ryosuke Yagamai nodded, and the bones must be taken away. After all, if you stay here, You can't be buried with these grass ninjas, right? That's nothing. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 119. Xiangrin's mother was buried by Xiangrin in a wasteland in Cao Ninja Village. Because of her status, she was not allowed to leave the village. So we can only bury it on the spot. When the bones were exhumed, there was only a simple coffin inside. This coffin was made by the young Xianglin himself out of an old Konoha, and it looked small and crude. But it was the only coffin she could prepare for her mother at that time. Yagami Ryuzyuk and Xiangrin worshipped her mother's bones together, and then placed the coffin into the sealing scroll. Ryuzyuk, let's go. Xiangrin took Yagami Ryuzuk's hand. She no longer wanted to stay in this place. Because this place left her with nothing but pain. Wait a moment, there is one last thing left to do. Ryuzyuk Yagami said, a piece of sand gathered under his feet, and he and Xiangrin flew directly into the sky. Sandstorm burial. Ryuzyuk Yagami in the sky held his hand with one hand, and in an instant, the ground of the entire grass ninja village turned into a desert. With the roaring sand rolling, the entire grass ninja village was swallowed up by the sand. Those corpses were still there are the buildings of the Kusakunin village and all these things. They were all buried in the sandstorm burial by Yagami Ryuzyuk. Xiangrin looked at the Kusakunin village that had completely disappeared below, and opened his mouth in surprise. And then looked at Yagami Ryuzyuk with eyes full of little stars. Let's go, it's finally over now. Ryuzyuk Yagami smiled and touched Xiangrin's head, and then disappeared into the air with her in an instant. Wow! A piece of sand was sprinkled on the ground. If anyone comes here, they will find a piece of sand appearing in a forest. The large sandy area looks quite strange. And the Kusanagi village that was supposed to be here? It has completely disappeared from the ninja world. After returning to the village, Yagami Ryuzyuk first went with Xiangrin, buried her mother's bones, and at the same time replaced her with a better coffin and erected a tombstone. The location is in the cemetery of Konoha. As long as they are ninjas of Konoha, they will be buried here after their death. Ryuzyuk Yagami's father is also here. 623 Let's go. Come and take a look when you have time. Ryuzyuk Yagami said to Xiangrin who looked sad. Xianglin nodded obediently. Mom, you don't have to worry about me anymore. I have now found the person I can trust for the rest of my life. Ryuzyuk is very kind to me. You must also bless us in the Pure Land. Xiangrin looked back at her mother's tombstone, and then left the cemetery with Yagami Ryuzyuk. That night, Yagami Ryuzyuk did not go home, but stayed with Xiangrin. After all, what happened today, the impact was too great for Xiangrin. The great revenge was avenged, and her mother had a better resting place. Yagami Ryuzyuk thought about staying with her tonight to avoid the little girl being alone. But, to Yagami Ryuzyuk's surprise, just after sleeping until midnight, a small body got into his bed. Ryuzyuk, I can't sleep. Xiangrin's little head came out from under the quilt and looked at Yagami Ryuzyuk and said, I want to sleep with you in my arms, okay? Xiangrin looked at him pitifully. Yagami Ryuzyuk had nothing to do with her. He could only agree to let her hold him to sleep. But that's all. He didn't want to make a mistake. After all, they were still young. Even in the ninja world, this age is too young. We have to wait for at least 2 more years. That night, Yagami Ryuzyuk didn't sleep all night. It was really hard to hold Xiangrin in his arms. How to fall asleep? In addition, he is in good spirits and usually only sleeps for 2 or 3 hours at night. Occasionally he doesn't sleep for a day or two, but it doesn't actually have any impact. However, Xianglin sleeps quite soundly. Holding the knight in his arms Kami Ryusuke, he slept until about 3 o'clock in the morning before waking up. Woo! Sleeping so comfortably. Xiangren stretched out and looked at Ryusuke Yagamai in front of him with a smile. Ryusuke, why did you wake up so early? Ryusuke Yagamai smiled and pinched the tip of Keiru's nose, and then urged her to get up quickly and wash up. Today is the day when the third match of the Chunin examination is held. The match starts at 9 a.m. It is now 8:32, got it? Ryusuke, can I watch your game today? In the bathroom, Xianglin, who was brushing his teeth, suddenly poked his head out and asked. Okay, I'll take you in later. Ryusuke Yagamai, who had just changed his clothes, nodded and said. I will cheer for you then. Xianglin said with a smile. That might be harder. Ryusuke Yagamai said. Because his game was the last one. In other words, there was a high probability that Orochimaru's Konoha collapse plan had already started before his game started. Therefore, Xiangren wanted to give. He worked hard, fearing that he might not have this chance. After Xiangren had washed up and changed his clothes, the two of them set off for the Chunin examination venue. As for breakfast, just buy some on the way. Xiangren had never studied before. It's not that she doesn't want to cook, but the people in the Grass Ninja village don't allow her to leave a specific area. She doesn't have the chance to learn. Otherwise, she wouldn't have eaten those overnight meals, cold steamed buns and the like every day. It was 8:50 in the morning. Yagamai Ryusuke took Xiangren into this huge competition field from the entrance passage. After coming out of the passage, Yagamai Ryusuke and Xiangren separated. Ryusuke, come on. Xiangren stood up on tiptoes and kissed Yagamai Ryusuke on the face, and then trotted to the stands upstairs. Yagamai Ryusuke also walked to the other candidates under the curious gazes of others. Ryusuke, who was that girl just now? Hinata came early. She arrived about 20 minutes earlier than Ryusuke Yagamai. In fact, except for Naruto, all the other candidates had arrived at this time. Even Sasuke, who was supposed to be late. This time I got here early, waiting for the game to start. That's Xianglin, whom I met during the second exam. I'll introduce you to her after it's over. Yakami Ryusuke said, and also took Hinata's little hand. They haven't seen each other for a month, and Yagamai Ryusuke misses them too. Has it been a hard month? Ryusuke Yagamai asked softly. Actually, it's okay. Although my father is very strict, I feel that my strength has improved a lot in this month, and I also learned a new soft fist. Hinata shook her head. In fact, she has been up early and late every day for this month, even at night, practicing Rukwin in the training ground. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. In order to get closer to herself, the gap between her and Ryusuke Yagamai. However, she didn't want to tell Ryusuke Yagamai to know about these things. Because Hinata knew that if she said that, Ryusuke Yagamai would feel sorry for her, and she didn't want her boyfriend to know about it. Friends worry about themselves. And this is all in the past, right? Yagamai Ryusuke looked at the girl in front of him who didn't even say tired, and he knew very well that Hinata must have been practicing hard in the past month. You can guess this just by looking at the bandages on her hands. Ryusuke Yagamai gently rubbed Hinata's little hand in distress. Does it hurt? A bite, Hinata shook her head. It doesn't hurt anymore. Seeing Hinata like this, Ryusuke Yagamai suddenly wanted to learn medical ninjutsu. At least in this way, when Hinata and the others were injured, he could still use medical ninjutsu to treat them. Before, Ryusuke Yagamai feels that medical ninjutsu is useless. That's because it is useless to him. But for the people around him, if he has the superb medical ninjutsu ability like Tsunade, once these people around him are injured, he can help them heal quickly. Moreover, it is not difficult for Ryosuke Yagamai to learn medical ninjutsu. It only takes a little time to learn medical ninjutsu like palm senjutsu. And medical ninjutsu also belongs to the category of ninjutsu. It also enjoys the attribute of ninjutsu power bonus. Therefore, it is also a palm senjutsu, and the effect produced by Ryosuke Yagamai may be comparable to Tsunade's creative regeneration technique. If that's the case, as long as there is still breath left. Is there anything else that Ryosuke Yagamai can't cure or save? Hey. Why don't you two act so indifferent? At this moment, a voice suddenly interrupted Yagamai Ryosuke's thinking. He turned around and found that the speaker was Tamari. Long time no see, Tamari. Yagamai Ryosuke smiled and said hello. Tamari. Just now, she was a little jealous when she saw how Yagamai Ryosuke and Hinata were quarreling with each other, so she couldn't help but speak. Unexpectedly, Ryosuke Yagamai greeted him instead. This makes Tamari a little bit helpless. After a long time, he only managed to say hello, and then he ran to hide behind Gaara in embarrassment. Seeing Tamari's embarrassed look, Ryosuke Yagamai also laughed secretly, then looked at the surrounding stands, and soon found Ino's figure. Ryosuke. Hinata. Ino shouted, waving her hands over there. Ryosuke Yagamai and Hinata also responded to her with a smile. After a while, it was almost 9 o'clock. However, Naruto had not arrived yet. The host of the 13th examination, the examiner, was originally Gekko Hayate, but now he has been replaced by Shiranui Genma. As for Gekko Hayate, in the end, this unlucky guy failed to escape his fate and accidentally exposed himself while spying on Maki and Yakushi Kabuto, and thus died in the hands of the two of them. Yagamai Ryosuke heard this news more than half a month ago. In the past month, he was not just guiding Xiangren. At the same time, he also did many other things. For example, his wooden clone helped him obtain the biological pheromone of the 4th generation Kazekage Raza. Ryosuke Yagamai had converted it into a talent entry half a month ago. He obtained a man named Father of Shura's talent entry. The attribute of the entry itself is to enhance the power of magnetic escape, and the bonus reaches 550%. In addition, it comes with a magnetic escape. Then it is gone. In addition, Ryosuke Yagamai also uses a piece of Xionglin's hair was transformed into a blue entry. Then he spent 1000 experience points to upgrade it to purple. It became a new purple talent entry, Whirlpool Orphan, purple. The attributes are increased chakra 400%, and increased perception 400%, with the ability of Kagura's inner eye. These two talent entries are Ryosuke Yagamai's biggest gains in the past month. There are also some green and blue ones. Talent entries. But the attributes are too rubbish. Ryosuke Yagamai is too lazy to use them to synthesize. In Ryosuke Yagamai's view, the synthesis function that costs 100 experience points once is used on talent entries below purple. A waste. So these useless talent entries were all decomposed by him. He gained more than 1100 experience points. Basically, it offset the experience points for upgrading the Whirlpool Orphan entry. There was still more than 100 points left. Has Uzumaki Naruto arrived yet? If not, he will be automatically eliminated. Shiranui Genma glanced at the entrance passage and saw no one coming in for a long time, so he was about to announce loudly that Uzumaki Naruto would voluntarily abstain. But at this moment, "Wait for me!" Naruto's shout suddenly came from the sky. Everyone looked up and saw a figure falling from the sky crookedly. It fell and rolled. It looked like there was no way to stop. What is this guy doing, Naruto? Sasuke frowned, worriedly preparing to see if he could catch Naruto. At this moment, brush. A figure rushed into the air instantly, grabbed the falling Naruto, and appeared on the ground in the next second. The art of flying thunder god. Shiranui Genma recognized at a glance that Ryosuke Yagamai disappeared from the sky and then appeared on the ground. He used the unique skill of the fourth Hokage, Flying Thunder God technique. After all, he also served as Nami Feng Shui back then. The guard of the gate. Namikaze Minato even taught them the Flying Thunder God technique, but unfortunately they couldn't learn it. In the end, they just learned 4 different things. It took 3 people to work together to use it. The effect was far inferior to what Namikaze Minato used. That's great. But even so, Shiranui Genma's understanding of the Flying Thunder God Jutsu is one of the best in all of Konoha. So it's normal to recognize him at a glance. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 120. Wow. It scared me to death. Thank you Ryosuke, otherwise I would have fallen miserably. Naruto patted his chest and said with a look of lingering fear. Why are you in the sky? Ryosuke Yagamai let him go and asked in confusion. Others also looked at Naruto. They also wanted to know why Naruto went to the sky. Not even a lustful senin, he said he wanted to teach me a particularly powerful ninjutsu, but I ended up flying into the sky. Naruto said angrily. A lustful sage? It seems that Naruto finally became a master and disciple with Jiraiya. Yagamai Ryosuke thought to himself. During this time, he was busy teaching Xiangren, but he didn't pay much attention to Naruto. Human. However, when he caught Naruto just now, Ryosuke Yagamai discovered that the chakra in Naruto's body had increased again. It was almost 180 calories. Because he had reached an agreement with the Nine Tails, Naruto now does not. It is necessary to use chakra to assist in sealing the Nine Tails. The Nine Tails will actively control its own chakra to prevent them from escaping and affecting Naruto. Moreover, the Nine Tails seems to be consciously helping Naruto improve his chakra. I have to say, Naruto's mouth escape is still very good. How long have you been with Kuwabai? It's a little more than a year, right? He has already incited Kuwabai to his side sharp. Okay, the 3rd exam has already begun, please prepare. Ryosuke Yagamai pointed at Naruto's chicken coop. There were hundreds of spectators watching, and they had to pay attention to their image. On the other side, in the stands where the spectators were, Hinata Hinashi had a dark face and talked to his little one. His daughter Hinata Hanabi was sitting next to him. He was originally in a good mood. His eldest daughter successfully advanced to the 3rd round of the Chunin examination, and the special training in the past month made Hinata realize that he seemed to have neglected his eldest daughter a little bit over the years. Unexpectedly, Hinata's strength has not been tested for several years, but this time she was surprised to find that Hinata had learned the Bagua 128 palms, not to mention Kaishin. This shocked Hinata. After all, in his eyes, Hinata in the past was a ninja with little talent. He had even made plans to let his younger daughter inherit the clan after she grew up. As for the eldest daughter, that can only be seen. Can we get other members of the clan to agree to her marrying out? As long as she marries out, there is no need to be carved as a caged bird. This is the only thing Hinata and Rizo can do to his eldest daughter. But now, in the knowledge after discovering Hinata's true strength, Hinata suddenly realized that he didn't seem to really understand his eldest daughter. Hinata's potential was obviously stronger than he thought. But he had never discovered it in the past. That's all. The one who caused all these changes was the kid named Ryosuke Yagamai. He learned the Flying Thunder God technique of Yellow Flash at a young age, and defeated the Umbu squad leader. His strength and potential are enough to be called a super genius. To be honest, if it were just like this, Hinata would still be satisfied with the son-in-law. But the problem is, this boy is actually dating the girl from the Yamanaka family at the same time. Doing 2 things at the same time? What the hell? I, as the patriarch of the Hyuga family, You don't dare to do this. How dare you, kid? Moreover, isn't Hinata alone enough for you? You want to find a second one? Moreover, Hinata and Hizu have heard some rumors recently, although I don't know if it's true or not. It is said that he has a nose and an eye. It is said that he is a civilian genius, Ryosuke Yagamai, and he has an ambiguous relationship with Kurane Ninui. The two often go home together. They even stay at their respective homes. Yoi, of course, Hinata are familiar with the name Kurane, because she is the leading jounin of his eldest daughter's genin team. How could he not be familiar with it? If all this is true, then Hinata will be really angry to death. Two are not enough, why the hell do you want three? So, now Hinata are looking at Yagamai Ryosuke, who is making love to Hinata on the field, and he doesn't like it no matter how he looks at it. Instead, he sits next to him. Hinata Hanabi's child stared at Ryosuke Yagamai with curious eyes. Is this the boy my sister likes? He is indeed handsome, and he just saved the guy with yellow hair, so he must be quite powerful. But my father doesn't seem to like this brother-in-law very much. Should I side with my sister? Or should I side with my father? Hanabi glanced at her father beside her carefully, and found that her father had a dark face and looked angry, and she immediately shrank her neck. I'd better stand by my sister's side. Hanabi thought to herself. However, my brother-in-law is really handsome. Much prettier than those little brats at school. My sister has such a good taste. On the other side, just like Hinata, Yamanaka Hiki also has a dark face. But unlike Hinata, he is just a spectator today. Yamanaka Hiki is also responsible for the security maintenance of the scene. After all, Shikaku is entrusting him. So at this moment he just glared at Ryosuke Yagamai on the court fiercely, and then continued to sense the surrounding situation with his spiritual skills. Always pay attention to possible accidents. After all, something happened in the second exam. Orochimaru, that S-class traitor. God knows if this guy will continue to come out and cause trouble in the third game. Anyway, be careful and you won't make a big mistake. Uzumaki, Naruto and Rock Lee stayed, and the others left first. The examiner, Shiranui Genma, said after announcing the rules of the third exam. Naruto, come on. Sasuke patted Naruto on the shoulder, then turned and walked towards the passage. Naruto, you have to fight hard, and of course Xiao Li has to work hard too. Ryosuke Yagamai smiled and said to the two of them, and then a figure flashed, and Hinata appeared in the player's stand above. After everyone else left the field, Shiranui Genma also announced the first game. The game begins. Brush. He himself also retreated outside the field. On the field, the remaining Naruto and Xiao Li were also looking at each other passionately. Naruto, let's have a youth showdown. Xiao Li felt that his blood was boiling all over. He had been waiting for this moment for too long. Now, under the gaze of hundreds of spectators from all over the world, his ninja will fully bloom. And Naruto opposite is no better than Xiao Li. How good it is. They were also very excited and shouted, I'm going to do it. Two equally passionate guys met, and the sparks from the collision almost burned into a sea of fire. A long way away, Yeshen Ryosuke and the others can feel the burning fighting spirit in the two of them. Here we go. Ryosuke Yagamai looked at the two figures who disappeared from the field at the same time and said silently. Whether it is Naruto or Xiao Li, almost all their physical skills were taught by Metkai. The only difference is, Xiao Li is a disciple of Metkai, and Naruto is just taught by Metkai. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Therefore, in terms of pure physical skills, Naruto cannot beat Xiao Li. That is, with the physique of the Uzumaki clan and the help of the nine-tailed chakra, Naruto can still sustain himself under Xiao Li's repeated attacks. You know, this time Xiao Li did not wear any weights at all. I went all out from the beginning. Except for the 8-door Dunjia, I have used all the other available moves. In the stands, the ordinary people in the audience couldn't see the two people on the field at all. They could only listen. The banging sounds of collisions and the appearance of potholes on the ground from time to time showed that the two sides were fighting fiercely. However, although they could not see clearly, this did not prevent these viewers from thinking that these two genin were very powerful. After all, the speed was so fast that they couldn't see it. Wasn't it powerful enough? So, the audience on the field also shouted enthusiastically and loudly. Come on, some people cheered for Naruto, shouting come on, yellow-haired boy and so on. There were also people cheered for Xiao Li, shouting come on, watermelon head boy, come on, jumpsuit boy and so on. And those who cheered for Naruto were basically people from other villages. After all, these villagers in Konoha, they hate Naruto wasn't in a hurry yet. How could he cheer him up? These two guys are so strong in physical skills. If I were allowed to go up, I would definitely be defeated in minutes. Ino didn't know when he sneaked over to the contestants' stand at this time. He looked at the two people fighting below with a look of surprise on his face. How was the effect of your special training this month? Ryusuke Yagami asked her. Not bad, I feel that my understanding of family secrets has improved a lot. Ino nodded. She has actually worked very hard this month. Although her father initially said that she should be given special training, in the end he was not strict at all. He even ran away and handed her over to her mother for training. It's very irresponsible. However, Ino also wants to improve her own strength. Although she is not keen on this aspect, she can't be kept too far away from Hinata, right? By the way, Ryusuke. Ino suddenly asked, who was that red-haired girl just now? That's Xianglin. Ryusuke Yagami told Ino what he had said to Hinata before. By the way, he also told the two of them about Keiru's life experience. After hearing that Keiru had lived such a miserable life in the past, Ino and Hinata instantly fell in love with each other. I felt infinite sympathy for this future sister. Along with it, my original unhappy mood completely disappeared. Xianglin is so pitiful, Ryusuke, you must be nicer to her in the future. Ino secretly wiped her tears. She also asked Ryusuke Yagami not to bully Xianglin in the future. Hinata on the side also held his hand tightly, thinking to herself that she used to feel that her father was too strict and felt aggrieved. But compared to Xianglin, who had never seen her father since she was a child, her mother died so early. Hinata suddenly felt that her family was still very happy. Although her father was strict, she could feel that he still loved her, but he was not very good at expressing it. And her mother is also very kind to her. Every time her father scolded her, her mother would come to comfort her and give her delicious food. When she thought of this, Hinata felt a little congested and her nose felt sore. Ryusuke, why don't you bring Xianglin here? We also want to get to know her. Hinata said suddenly. Hearing this, Ryusuke Yagami thought about it and nodded. Then he went to the auditorium and brought Xianglin over. Xianglin, who followed Yagami Ryusuke, looked very nervous. She, knowing that Yagami Ryusuke has two girlfriends, he also knows their names. Feeling that he is a latecomer, Xianglin has always been afraid that these two sisters will not accept him. However, after being raped by Yagami Ryusuke after bringing her here, Xianglin found that both Sister Ino and Sister Hinata were very kind to her. The two of them held her hands and spoke very gently. This made Xianglin's original worries disappear in an instant. She just feels so happy now. This is the kind of happiness she has never experienced in so many years. Seeing Hinata and the three of them getting along so harmoniously, Yagami Ryusuke secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He was actually a little worried before. Will Hinata and Ino truly accept the existence of Xianglin? Fortunately, both Ino and Hinata are good girls with kind hearts. The Shura field did not happen as they imagined. On the other side, Tamari looked at the other side. The three girls couldn't help but look at Yagami Ryusuke with aggrieved eyes. She also wanted to be one of them. She also wanted to stay by Yagami Ryusuke's side and be treated gently by him. But she can't. Because she is a ninja from Sunagakure village and the daughter of the fourth generation Kazekage. As for Sunagakure village, this time it is preparing to invade Konoha. They are destined to be enemies in the future. Can't be together at all. Why wasn't I born in Konoha? Tamari suddenly couldn't help but think. Although it was a bit rebellious. But now she looked at the three girls getting along harmoniously over there. Tamari was really envious. On the field, the battle between Naruto and Xiao Li was still going on. The two sides are fighting with physical skills, and no one can do anything to the other. Konoha is really full of talents. The strength of these two genin is no longer inferior to that of any Chuyunin, right? Hokage-sama really teaches well. In the stands high above, Orochimaru's disguise as the fourth generation Kazekage Raza spoke at this time, with a somewhat sinister tone in his tone. Haha. It's nothing, Kazekage-sama, you ninjas from Sunagakure village are also good, you are all good. Sarutobi Hiruzen laughed, barely able to write the word proud on his face.